Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. If you are on here, hit that like button, tag anybody on this discussion, share it with someone that you think may find it interesting. I'm excited about today's conversation. This should be an interesting one. This would be an interesting topic. I first heard about this on I Am Courtney Michelle's podcast or YouTube channel, and it was this whole concept of stab. I don't want to go into it too much before I get her on here to talk about it, but I'm sure by now you guys all know the lovely I Am Courtney Michelle. She has created quite a name for herself. Beautiful woman, beautiful spirit. So I'm so excited to have her come on and talk about this entire concept of stab, whether or not it's possible, and how to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on and we will get started with the discussion. Hello, hello.
Hi. What is going on, darling?
Hey, well, I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Also, guys, be sure to show some love and support. Check out her channel if you haven't already. Hit her up on Cash App. And if you would like to show support to this show, please do so. You can find me on Cash App or Venmo Sade. As always, I will be sure to acknowledge and read all super chats. I do want to, real quick, I did see a Cash App come through from Darren with the 10. Thank you for starting us off right, Darren, with the 10 on the super chat. Also, shout out to, what did I see? I think I saw something else come through earlier today. Shout out to Dark Power for the 5 on the Cash App. Thank all of you guys for starting this thing off right. Y'all support your favorite content creators. Y'all know the drill. This is a group effort. We do our best to bring quality content that's interesting, thought-provoking, and we rely upon you guys to keep this thing going. So show some love, and we're going to get started into this conversation. So as I mentioned, STAB, this whole idea, this whole acronym, I heard about this first on your channel and didn't really have a chance to go deeply into it because we were on a whole different topic at the time. But I really wanted to pick your brain because I thought, in light of everything that's happening, these YouTube streets, all the conversations around dating and mating, and whether it's dating in, dating out, dating in America, dating internationally, there's so much going on. But this concept of STAB that I kind of heard you briefly mention, I just thought it was really intriguing. And I thought, let me just sit down and try to pick your brain and see what you were thinking, what your thoughts are, what you're hoping to do, whether or not it's possible, all of that. So before we get kind of deeply into this whole idea, would you mind just explaining to the audience, what is STAB and how did you come up with this whole idea?
Okay. So, I've always been kind of in discussions and on panels with SYSBM, Passport Bros, and all that. And me and Alan from We Need to Talk kind of came up with this theory where, it was like STAB, steal they ass back. And he made it a hashtag. And I was like, I love that idea. So what the idea, and I guess what my channel is turning out to be, is Black women that are saying we don't want our Black men leaving us. And it's to show Black women that are saying, no, we do need you. And we want Black men, and we want you to be leaders. And we are not wanting you to go elsewhere to find something that you rightfully deserve here at home.
Okay.
So it was kind of like the STAB, and I like the STAB because that's aggressive. That's some action. So it's not just me saying it's now STAB, get they ass. We bringing them back. So that was kind of, I guess, the concept of the STAB, idea was the idea is like, no, you are needed and you shouldn't have to go elsewhere to find something that innately you should be given already. So that was the idea.
Okay. So that makes sense, basically almost as like a counter movement towards all the things that have been heard for the last few decades. I don't need a man. I'm strong, independent. I'm, what is it? F and F or whatever, like all these different songs, all these different tunes, grow. Right. Like this idea of like, look, men are either like bumbling idiots to where we don't need them and we're better off without them, or we're just so self-sufficient that we can do it all by ourselves. And this is essentially the programming and the messaging that has been going on for decades now, all across the board, and especially within the Black community. So STAB Sounds like it was as a way to be like, you know what, I don't rock with that. Actually, we do need you. Actually, yes, you do deserve to be respected. You do deserve to have whatever you need here. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to inconvenience yourself to literally go into another country, into another culture, just to find what you should be getting at home.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I've had many, obviously, discussions, and um not even just going overseas. It's just even men saying, I'm tired of, when I'm dating a Black woman with the attitude or this and that, I'm going to go with a white girl. I'm going to go this. And it should be quality that we have in our community. Quality Black women, quality Black men, marriageable. If we're not having that, for me, it's not okay, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, then just leave it alone. It's then let's let's fix our community. And that goes in, it's another hashtag. It's, save your community, Black man. We hashtag that. And it's for those that want to fix what we have here. And I am not particularly a woman that is just going to throw away my culture, my identity, my race, my community. I'm willing to fix it. And again, with those hashtags, that's pretty much what it's about.
So it's about, okay, so save your community, Black men. I do remember that being mentioned on, I think on the interview I had of We Need to Talk, and it was save your community, Black men. And it was that in conjunction with SYSBM, right? Which is save yourself, Black men. So that being a hashtag you guys kind of helped come up with, and then obviously Stab, right? Which is about look still in the back. So okay, so on that topic, and I think you've kind of touched upon this, but why, in your opinion, is Stab so important? If you want to reiterate that a little bit.
Well, I am community based. I do believe it takes a village. I don't believe that this world is made for us to be alone. I'm proud to be a Black woman. And if I'm proud to be a Black woman, but I see things in the community that obviously needs to be fixed, then I want to do it. So it's important to me. It's not just bring a ass back. It's we need you for community building. We need you to further on what our ancestors came over, died for, sacrificed for, what my grandparents did. So it's bigger than me. And if we're going to continue on who we are, what I look like, this melanin, my genes, it takes us both. And I'm here saying that, and hopefully building a community or around people that also believe that they want to better the community and be an asset and not a hindrance to it.
Okay. So again, you're coming back from being a very community minded based perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think relationships for me, and we talk, even in marriage, it's so much more than how you feel. And it's so much more for me than you make me feel good. It's a business. It's a political statement. It's changing narratives. It's changing statistics. It's a lot that goes into marriages and relationships than just feelings. And me being with you is more than just I feel good and you make me feel good. You make me feel bad. I'm leaving. No, this is purposeful and it's intent.
Okay. Yeah. No. So I mean, to your point, you haven't given up on the Communitah.
I don't say Communitah. I don't do that Blackistan. No, it's the Black community. We are a community. And I'm going to be Black whether I'm here, Utah, Asia, wherever. I'm going to be Black. And when I step out the house, I not only represent me, my family, I represent the community. And I want to make sure I represent it well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, if you're on here, hit that like button. I see 112 of you here and only 76 likes. So be sure to support. Likes are free. Also, you can show support to the show on Cash App or Venmo. Find me there, share day. And as always, I'll be sure to acknowledge and read all super chats. There's a lot of comments coming through. So the best way to ensure that I will actually read and respond to your comment is to super chat it. So support your favorite content creators. And I'm so grateful to have a lovely special guest here who's explaining the concept of STAB and what is it? Save Your Community Black Men is another one you mentioned.
Yes.
Basically, why and how Black women should steal Black men back who are exploring their options in different ways that can be done. So again, thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, something I want to ask you, because this whole idea of stealing them back assumes that there's a sense of ownership. So would you say that Black women have a sense of ownership over Black men?
Do we think that? Yes. Black women do think we own Black men. That's why I get asked, do Black women compete? And I've always said Black women don't compete for their mate because they feel like that you're not going anywhere. I don't have to show up as my best self because you're mine. And so, yeah, there is a sense of ownership. Do I particularly believe that I own Black men? Absolutely not. I don't own anyone.
So then you would say, okay, so you would say there is a sense of ownership in general. You think that Black women as a collective do think that they own Black men, but you personally don't think that you own Black men.
No. So I don't own, I'm not no slave trader, so I don't own you. But what I do believe is that no one can love you more than a Black woman to a Black man. No man can love me more than a Black man. So no one understands me more than a Black man. I understand you. We have communication where we don't even have to verbalize things, and I understand how you feel. We have same like experiences, and even, doing this YouTube stuff, I realize, it's, if I give you a head nod, that's a universal thing amongst us. If, there's I'm straight, I can say I'm straight to you multiple different ways, but you understand it. It's something innately in us. It's in our DNA. So I don't own you, but can't nobody love me or do me like you can do me.
So
that's the PG. That's PG. That's PG.
Okay. PG.
Good already. That's PG.
That's right. So, I always think, okay, if my Nana saw this, would I be okay? So that's what I try to keep it. I try to keep it Nana approved. Okay. So I kind of want to stay on this idea that you think that Black women as a collective, not everybody, but a large portion of Black women think that they own Black men. What makes you come to that conclusion? What ideas, behaviors makes you think that Black women believe they own Black men?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's how you treat them.
Okay.
So if I feel like I own you, I don't have to work for you, you're not going anywhere, then I'm going to give you the bare minimum because you're not going anywhere. So why would I even have to step my game up? And I think that's where we are right now with Black women is we don't think that you will. And I think the uprise of the passport bros is saying, no, I have other options and I will look for other options if I'm not getting the bare necessities that I need here at home or with you. So, yeah, you can tell how we act. I always know where, I treat something that I invest in or that I care about, I'm going to treat that obviously a lot better than something that's just given to me or something that I don't have to work for.
Yeah.
And if we're giving you the bare minimum, it equates that I don't have to work for you. You're always going to be there. And we're seeing that that's not true.
Okay. So it's like, the very fact that it's almost laziness to a certain extent. The lazy attitude or some of the ideas that are promoted, like, look, I'm gonna just come as I am, take me as I am. Like, this is the kind of stuff I hear in church. I'm like, okay, Jesus will take you as you are, but that doesn't mean that these men do, because let's just be honest, as women, we're not trying to just take these men as they are. Unless some women, unless he looks good enough. But I'm saying in general, it's like you want a man that has certain things taken care of.
Yeah.
And it should be vice versa. But you're saying the very fact that idea of, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah. And that's not, and look, that's not even, I ain't never saw in the Bible where it says, I'm going to take you as you are. That's the church folks say that. But no, God said, repent, turn of your evil ways. No, I don't want change. Die to yourself daily. So this is, even in the Bible, it's, you know, it's not, I'm not going to take you as you are. No, in my presence, or if you want me and my salvation, you're going to have to change.
Right.
Don't go say anything. If you want something that's valuable or that you need, then you're willing and wanting to do the work to change for it. So, and I just think that we need to change that as Black women, and as a collective, it needs to be shown.
No, I couldn't believe more. I could not agree with you more. Shout out to J John 4040 with the 10 on the Cash App. I see Austen Holleman admitted to paying for real 304s when going overseas. These passport betas are mostly going overseas to trick off their money. They don't have any game, so the women don't like them. Ooh, child. Well,
He fell away. Okay.
I need to, man. I was in my handcuffs. My soundboard has been tripping, so I'm gonna just give you a. I'll have to give you a real handcuff. But I appreciate the super chat. Shout out to you, MS Delta guy. Good to see you. It says peace, sisters. So y'all, for those of you who are hopping on, hit that like button. We are talking about S.T.A.B. Is it SYCBM? Basically.
Mm-hmm.
How Black women and why Black women should steal these men back who have gone abroad, who are dating out, who have essentially given up on the community. So I am again joined by lovely Miss Courtney Michelle, and she's telling me what this is all about, why this is important, what this looks like. We're just having a conversation. So be sure to hit that like button, y'all. So you talked about how there is a sense of ownership that Black women have, which is perceived, or which is essentially demonstrated by somewhat of a lazy attitude that we have, that like we can do whatever we want, treatment however they want, and they're not going to go. I do partially, the reason I think that there is this sense to a certain extent of like they're going to stay no matter what is because, I mean, like the very fact that women are encouraged and celebrated for dating out in everywhere, like no matter what a woman does as far as her dating prospects, it's always to be celebrated. And if it's not celebrated, then you're being old school, you're being misogynistic, you're being a mammy, you're being fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. But women's dating preferences by and large are to be celebrated. But that we know that is not the case for men. We know a woman who dates out is expanding her options because Black men are colorist. A Black man who dates out is just colorist. He's the problem. Like there's never really any other reason that the Black man is dating out. It's just because he's colorist. Or there's never really any other reason that a man says, hey, I'm decided to be single. It's because he can't commit. Whereas a woman who decides to be single, she's a boss babe. So we see this imbalance. And I do agree that this has very much to do with the fact that there's Black women out there who think they own men, or they think that they can do whatever. And I think they'll stay. And because of that, I think that is why you see a pushback to the SYSBMs or the passport bros to a certain extent, because some women are just like, wait, huh? Like, we shouldn't have to compete. What are you talking about compete? That's disrespectful. Like, I'm the queen, and as the queen, I should just show up and you should just take me.
I agree. I don't, and I don't know if maybe women don't understand the idea of competition, but anything that you do in life, you're competing, because there's always going to be someone that's better than you or wanting to take your place. So that's within jobs, organizations, if you're wanting to, be the president of your sorority or anything like that. Right. So it's not to say that, oh, I need to men compete. We're getting better. So why do you want to look good? Why do you want to get your hair done? Why, it's to look better. It's to feel better, but it should also be because you want someone to be attracted to you. Right. Why do you want to lose weight? Because it makes me feel better. I look better in clothes. And hell, my man don't want me to be big and fat. That's how our mentality should be. But I'm just saying that what we do is compete amongst ourselves.
Yeah, that will be considered
against another woman, but won't compete for her man. That is, especially if he's a good man. Sarah around the corner definitely will.
Yeah, it's interesting because we understand these concepts and other things. Like I use the example all the time. Like if you want to be like get a top position at like a Fortune 500 company or whatever. Like let's say you want to work for like I don't know a Google or Apple. You want to be the VP. Yeah. You're not gonna show up to the interview with like a high school degree and think that you're gonna get it. Like you probably have to go to a good college. You're gonna have to have a top GPA. You're gonna have to do internships. You're probably gonna have to have different jobs leading up to that point. Like your resume needs to be stacked. So we understand these ideas when it comes to getting a job, working for the white man, as some people say, or going into corporate, whatever it may be. But now when it comes to relationships, then we just think that it's supposed to just be this laissez-faire, I don't have to do any effort, let me manifest my destiny, God is my husband kind of thing. And it's like, sis, no. Like, you still gotta do work.
And I can admit, I thought that, God will bring me my Boaz, and I don't have to even leave the house. He's going to magically appear. It was, I don't have to do any work. I don't have to show myself being set apart from the others, or why would a man even want you? It was, he'll show up. And we have been told that lie.
Oh, we all have.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of single, saved, and satisfied ministries I went to as a girl, as a young kid, where it was like literally ran by like predominantly older single women, older single Black women, hate to say it, who were on this whole kick of Jesus literally is my husband. I don't need a man because I have God. And, God will maybe magically one day send the dude on my doorstep. But literally no conversation about, okay, how to actually prepare yourself for your Boaz, because Ruth just wasn't sitting there. She was working. She like literally integrated herself into that culture because she came from a different culture. She was submissive to her elders in her life. She had a reputation of being a good woman. So she didn't just like pop out of nowhere. You know what I mean? There was a whole process she went through, and then she presented herself to Boaz. She did it. So that's why it's like, even though some of those cliche concepts some of us have heard in church, if you actually like just dig a little bit deeper, it's like, no, this actually isn't true.
Yeah.
Like,
I totally agree.
So shout out, I do see some super chats come through. Shout out to Game Dreamer 58 with the 5 on the super sticker. I appreciate you. You always show love and support. Thank you. Also, MS Delta Guy, I see another comment here. It says, many passport brothers are just tired of the unrest from some American Black women. Black men are seeking peace. I don't know if you want to respond to that comment, but I think he makes a good point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think men in general want peace. My question is, and if any man want to answer it, or maybe we have time for calls, they can. But I do hear where a lot of their ideas, or their mom was not the best mom, and I am wondering, what is peace? Do men, and some men, know what peace looks like?
That's a good question. Well, that might be,
because you're right, but what does peace look like? And peace is not necessarily silence, even though I do believe that women need to know how to be quiet and what not to say and things like that, obviously. Yeah. But what is peace? Do you know what peace looks like? Have you ever been around peace? And I don't want it to be where we have these concepts of what we want, but not understand or not even know what it looks like. But some of us, and I can speak for women, we live in a fantasy world where I want this type of man and I want him to make 6 figures and I want him to have that. But do you know what that means? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know how it is to maintain a particular man? Do you know that some sacrifices come with getting that man? So we say a lot of stuff about what we want, but do you know, have you ever been around it? Do you know what that looks like?
No, that's a good question. That's a good question because, to your point, a lot of the stuff is idealistic because, for example, women who they didn't grow up, maybe they grew up in a single parent household and they weren't surrounded by families. They didn't have any examples in their life about what a marriage looks like. They're just kind of left to piece things together about what a marriage should be based upon what they intake, who they talk to, their relationships. A lot of times that isn't good. So it's like sometimes it's hard for you to even know what to look for if you've never seen it. And this goes back to the importance of, in my opinion, being a wife, raising a family. These are all things that you should learn at home. Now, if that doesn't happen, which for the most instances it's not happening, there are still ways you can go about learning, but you don't just deserve to be somebody's wife or somebody's woman just by nature of you being born or being a woman. It's like, no, you Because if you haven't learned, if you don't have a solid understanding of what marriage even is, what it means to raise a family, what it means to work with a man and build a legacy, all these different things, then you're just left thinking a wife is, I'm gonna live the soft life and I'm gonna get back rubs and manicures every other day, and this is me being a wife. And there's some women out there who legitimately, you look at their information online, you look at what's being promoted, that's what they think a wife is. A nice wedding, you sitting on the couch every day getting manis and petties, somebody massaging you, and you just look cute, sit and be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's not just sit and be pretty. Like, there's work associated with that. So I think you make a good point where it's like, okay, well, peace, do you even know what that looks like? Like, have you had examples? Have you seen examples? I think really good point.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so on to the next question, and then I'll be sure to go and get those super chats that are coming in. I guess we mentioned, yeah, some black women think that they own black men. Do you think black women owe the community? Obsidian brought this up at a collaboration we did a few weeks back, and he was like, there's all this talk about what black men owe the community or owe the Communitah, right? All these things of how they need to build, they need to step up, they need to lead, they need this. We all know what black men need to do, but what do black women owe the community? What are they entitled, or what do they need to give in order for this thing to work? And rarely has that question been asked. So I want to pose this question to you. What do you think black women owe the community, if they owe anything at all?
I get that question too. And I guess I can answer it by saying I think black women need to step down.
Mm.
Black women owe black men the ones that they don't believe they do. I think black women haven't gave anyone grace. I think black women owe respect to black men. I think black women owe themselves the power of letting go.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I think black women, we put a lot on us, and we don't have to. We don't have to be the man. We shouldn't want to be the man. We owe ourselves to be women. And we owe our men to be men. Let them be the man. Because they're asking us to do it, but we're not letting them be. So I don't know if that's what we owe the community, but maybe that is. We owe men to let them be men. It's about time. Because they want us to be women.
Okay. So you would say black women owe men the place and the responsibility to be men. Get out of the way, let them lead, all of that. So I have a follow-up question for you. Before I get to it, I want to read through these super chats so I don't miss them. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Derek with the 5 on the Cash App. I appreciate you. I see peace with our woman is rare, but I believe you all can learn to do it. Hey, Courtney, looking good. Hey, Shay, always lovely. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Shout out to MS Delta Guy again with the 5. I see I had a great mom. Yes, I think most men know what peace looks and feels like. A place where you can rest and let your guard down, a safe zone. I think that's a really, really good answer to peace. Shout out to you, Friedman Journal with the 2. I see peace is easy, hence the term peace and quiet. Fair point. Okay, and then I see J. John 4040 with the 10. It says Jason Black debunked this nonsense recently. If you want to know how women from the countries act to go to Florida or New York, and the ones fresh off the plane act just like women, U.S. culture is worldwide. So it sounds like J. John 4040 is not rocking.
He is not
feeling it.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure. Again, guys, if you're here, hit that like button. Show support to the show. As always, You can find me on Cash App, Venmo, Shade, and I will be sure to acknowledge all super chats. Dane C, shout out to you. It says salute to these two beautiful collaborating. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me move on to the next question. So you talked about Black women, they need to step down. That's essentially what they need to do. This is what they owe the community. How exactly would they do that? Because I understand like the concept, but what would you say practically if you're talking now as far as a perspective collectively, how would Black women collectively step down in a way to show Black men collectively like, hey, we're making a change, if this is essentially what you're believing in or what you wanted to do?
How do they do it?
Yes.
I think that we need to go into these when a Black woman is with a Black man, I think that we need to start giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think a lot of times we go into relationships on a defense and we're already prepared for the worst. And I think even when Black men walk in the room, and it's always, the woman hold their purses because they're always, Black men has never had the benefit of the doubt of being a great man. It's no, he's a predator. No, he's a thug. He's a puka. He's that. So that's one thing Black women have to do is start giving men the benefit of the doubt. I think Black women need to get out of their own way of fear. I think a lot of women act certain ways because they're hurt for whatever reason, whether it's self-inflicted or not, they're coming out of pain. But you just have to allow things. And I've even said this to myself where, in relationships, it's me giving the benefit of the doubt and not being scared whether it's going to work or not. I said this to Alan, one of my favorite quotes that I say to myself through anything that I do is, what did it say? It was, oh, but what if I fail? And oh, but no, darling, what if I fly? So I go into things and relationships not being scared if it fails, but being hopeful and optimistic that it will fly. And if we start looking at our Black men like that, as hopeful and energetic and enthusiastic in relationships, I think it could change so much.
Okay, so you think just being more optimistic, Black women being more optimistic towards Black men is what they can do?
I think yes, I think that. And I also think listening.
Okay, so Black women, okay. So on that, because all these ideas I think are great as far as of course I personally believe, if you have the opportunity to raise up the next generation in particular, you want to teach them to love themselves, love who they are, love the men around them, love God, see people through the right lens. I know in one of my churches, they kind of have this concept of seeing people in the spirit. That is to say, see people with their intended purpose, right? See them based upon the way God intended them to be, not based upon necessarily all their flaws in that moment. But with that said, these are all ideas, and I think they're great ideas. But when it comes down to, okay, how to actually apply this practically, what does that look like? So I want to ask you, do you think that Black women need a Black patriarchy? And the reason I ask this is because a lot of times when I've talked to women, for example, I posted this actually yesterday, where it was all these women essentially complaining about how men didn't build. And they continue to go back to white masculinity, or they continue to go back to different things that have been achieved essentially under white patriarchy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, essentially what you were asking for, okay, provision, protection, man being first, woman being second, all these things that you're asking for is essentially a patriarchy. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, do you think Black women need a Black patriarchy? In order for these things, because these are all ideas, but like there has to, at a certain point, in order for communities to be set up, there are institutions, there are different things that need to be set in place for that will actually set the foundation for families and communities to act in a certain way. So I'm thinking, do you think that is what would need to happen in order for there to be a big shift
Yeah. So that's exactly what I was stating before. We're letting men be men. So it's what a man is a leader. What a man is a protector. I mean, men are so much, but that's the main role is to lead, is to that's why men are more logical because they can think more clearly than me that go off sometimes off emotions. So in order for us to work, women have to step back and let men lead. And we
Okay.
need that leadership. So that's what has to be done. But in order for women to let men lead, women are going to have to give the black men the benefit of the doubt like they can and they want to, and not be scared to let them.
Okay. So then your point. So then you would say yes, a black patriarchy would benefit black women. That is to say, a system that gives men the ground and the freedom to lead and to build and to create institutions and to create essentially a system that would benefit black communities. That would also mean that maybe in that may also mean that women maybe don't have as much agency, as much rights, as much freedoms in that moment, but you think that would be helpful overall for repairing the black family.
Yeah, absolutely. So even with that, I definitely think that child support system needs to be changed because women have obviously more power over that, and we can use your children against you. So those are things that needs to be changed. I think the no fault divorce is something that was detrimental because it gives us more access, if not more, than men now, and we can afford it now. Back then, you couldn't, and you had to go through a longer process to get out of these
Yeah.
relationships. So again, it's letting men lead also goes in besides the house, but also things legally with child support, with marriage, and things like that. So it all plays a role in it, in with male leadership.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, real quick, I want to acknowledge some of the super chats that came through. Shout out to Eugene Still with the 5. I see those roles have to be taught at home when they are boys and girls. Black children need to see both masculine and feminine figures to be balanced. I agree. I could not agree more with the power of just having a healthy example. And ideally, you were going to get that at home in your immediate community, and then hopefully community that you're surrounded by would also reinforce that. And then let's see, I think I saw another one. Shout out to you, Sir Hale Speaks with the
Hey.
49.99 on the super chat. I see a dope collab. Hey Courtney, hey Shay. Thanks all of you guys for the support. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Shout out to Better You. I see. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm just joining, but sounds like a great discussion. So, again, guys, if you hit that like button, we are talking about how and why Black women should steal them back, according to I am Courtney Michelle. She's been a lovely special guest, and she's sharing with me this overall idea of STAB, SYCBM, and what that means. So I'm learning all kinds of acronyms today. Thank you for being with me. Okay. So you mentioned you think, child support obviously has been bad, no fault divorce, different things institutionally that have happened to negatively impact not only just families in America in general, but Black families in particular. You would be in favor of those things being reversed. You would also be in favor of a Black patriarchy that would give more rights and give more freedom to men to establish and build a system that would allow women to essentially rest in their femininity, right? Or basically allow women to collaborate in a way where masculine and feminine is more balanced.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, that I can appreciate you for saying that because you'll be hard pressed to hear a woman, I think, actually own that. I guess a case in point, I had the conversation a few days ago where, now granted, these are divestors, so I know divestors usually come in bad, in my opinion, or my experience, they usually always come in bad faith. But they essentially were preaching for a Black patriarchy, which is why they were saying that they were divesting, because there wasn't one. But that's what they were essentially saying they wanted, but then they would never say they wanted a Black patriarchy. Because I'm like, for those women who don't like Black men, having Black men be in charge having some, I don't want to say somewhat of a dictatorship, but having a black man be an authoritarian. If you have fear of black men, and if you have basically believe these ideas that men are inherently bad, or black men in particular are inherently bad or violent or whatever, you're not going to be happy with their authority. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes women will talk out of both sides of the mouth. They'll say that black men are oppressive and they're this, and that, but then they need to build. And it's
Right.
like, okay, well, if you want them to build, are you going to give them the leeway and the power? And then are you going to help support them build? What are you willing to do to now help create a system where they can do that and you not get in the way? So that's where sometimes these arguments start to kind of disintegrate, when you really get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. It's, I want you to lead, but I want equality while you lead. So you want them to have all the responsibility, but you also want to take half of everything that they have built and take credit for. So that doesn't make sense at all. So no, I'm definitely not. I want you to lead it all.
Right.
Okay. Lead in the home. And I have 3 brothers. So I have seen a lot that men go through by the eyes and being there with my brothers.
Okay.
I get how the court system favors women, and how my brother had to work 10 times harder, spend 10 times as much money, have the best lawyer to have custody of his 2 boys. So I've seen that. I've seen women take their child away from their father just because of how they feel and how that child is neglected because of that. And that's not love. So I've been there and I've seen it as far as with the men. That's why I have complete empathy towards men. So as far as with leadership, a lot of things have to change for them to have their rightful role back in the community.
And would you say that role was taken away by their rightful role? Do you think it was taken away by women, by the institution, by both? It was a collaboration. Like, what do you think removed the role that Black men have had in the Black community?
That's a great question. I think, I guess if we're talking about child support and parents getting custody, that change is, of course, with the feminist movement. And was it women were screaming for it? So I'm going to have to say, it was women that changed the narrative on how we are right now, because we wanted more control. We wanted to be equal as men, but not knowing that we're not able to take care of all those responsibility of leadership. And that's why I think a lot of our community is failing, because we have women leading the community, and there's no real great community that has been led by women. That's a man's role, and he needs to do his role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you would say largely the large, I guess, push that Black women made towards feminism, really after the civil rights era, really helped drive this divide that we now see the ramifications of it today. Decades later, we're really seeing it in full form.
Yeah. So, a lot of stuff has happened, but that's one major thing. So that's one major thing, I think. And it was creating a system that women felt like we did not need men, and that we can do the exact same thing as men. So I think our mentality is, I don't need you, I want you, meaning I can take care of all the bills. I can raise the kids by myself. I can do all this by myself. But not knowing that just because you're able to take care of your rent, now we're seeing that the eviction rate is higher among Black women. Right. So obviously you can't maintain. And now that we're seeing there's a lot of mental issues that we have, so you can't. And so, and I see that's manifesting in things when you're out of order.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I completely agree. So would you say that, so you think Black women as a collective are out of order?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
We are. But the thing
You
is,
don't make somebody mad, girl. You
here's
gonna make
the
somebody
thing,
mad.
like we are out of order, but if you like sit and really think about us being out of order, it's our own doing at this point. You're out of order because you want to be out of order, but what is the significance of you being out of order? Why do you want to be in a man's role and spot? That's the real question. I want to know, why do you want it? Because you want the power, you want the accolades or whatever as a man, but your body, your mentality, your spirit cannot handle it. And we go through other things. Why you got hot girl summers? Because it's an escape. That's why you have people drinking and drugs and over shopping and doing all these things and access, because it's an escape, because you're out of order. And your life, how you look, it's going to reflect it. That's why you have women that are Black women that are hefty. It's a reflection that they are out of order. And when you're out of order, you look better, you feel better, you're in sync because you're doing what God created you to be.
You know, what's interesting, because I've actually seen quite a few people make this comment, but I think it's, I mean, even if you think back to the biblical story of Genesis, right, about Adam and Eve, and how there's certain translations of the Bible that literally say that Eve's sin was essentially wanting power over her husband. Like, there's, depending upon the translation, that's what some will say, where it's like she wasn't necessarily happy with the role or the position that she gave, God gave her, and she stepped out of bounds. And so fast forward, and it's like, I very much think we see that same spirit today. I know not everybody sees it that deeply, but as someone who is, my relationship with God is like everything. That to me is one of the things that I think pushes me to want to be accountable, because it's like, if my first responsibility to God is to make sure that my immediate family and then my collective family is taken care of. And that means I have to be accountable to the things that I may have done or may not be doing that could add to the problem. So, when you mention out of order and wanting to be in control and all these different, and wanting to be in a position that they're not meant to be, like, I literally think back to that, to those scriptures that kind of speak to this idea already. So
You're right. I go back to the Bible. You, every single story, you'll see it and it's played out. And she did not listen to God. She didn't listen to her man, but she was able to let somebody listen to, she was listening to the wrong folks, having others in her ear, which should not have been, and they were talking to her emotions. So again, it shows that women are emotional and not able to make things logically. That's why God wanted us to be covered. And that's also with leadership. And it's okay to say, you know what, sometimes I don't make the best decisions.
yeah.
And I need someone logically, and I need to run this through my husband. I need to run this through my man, because sometimes I'm impulsive. And even admitting that you don't even make good decisions by yourself and you need a covering. And we can even admit that's like chopping off and knocking off some things of this wall that we have amongst each other.
I will say this. I have an opportunity to have friends of all different ethnic groups, partially because just where I live and it's super diverse here. But one thing that I've noticed, even for women who aren't Black, women, I think, who either don't grow up with fathers or who don't grow up with a strong relationship with men, in my opinion, the way I see them struggle is very unique. I mean, anytime you are missing a parent, there's going to be that void there. But like, especially for women who don't have strong male leadership or strong male guidance, there's a particular way that they struggle, in my opinion, that is, it's almost like what it feels like as a woman who's unprotected. I can think of like maybe one or two off the top of my head where they continue to find themselves in these situations. It's like they're prey, and they'll continue to go from guy after guy after guy. And it's like, I'm thinking, okay, if this woman had a father or even an older brother, somebody who could look at her and be like, ma'am, like, this dude is running game on you, like, then she wouldn't be so vulnerable. But that male guidance, leadership wasn't in her life in particular. I'm thinking one person, And it's like they go from relationship to relationship to relationship, just struggle. And it's like any man with just an ounce of common sense could look at those guys in a millisecond and be like, "This dude's a fraud. What are you doing?" But this is a thing that I've noticed so much for women who don't have that male cover, you know. And I know it may sound really old school, or it may sound very like a lot of women may not like this idea, but there's a reason that children come from a father and a mother. There is a value that both of them bring to that individual, to that child. And when that is lost, when the protection and the guidance and the care and the provision that is lost from a father not being there, especially a strong, you know, a strong godly man who loves himself, loves God, loves his community, whatever. Like when that's not there, the way the children suffer, it has generational impact. And we're seeing this today. We're literally seeing today the impacts of people who didn't have that, or, you know, women, because, you know, a lot of times we talk about, they'll blame the single parented thing on the men, right? But it's like we're also having conversations about how sometimes women, the men that women choose, and how the amount of women who choose to go with guys who have already have a track record of not being good, while the men who are good get left over and need to go abroad to find women, you know? So, I mean, it's just, it goes deep.
It does. And I do believe in, you know, we call it generational curses, but what you're taught, even if it's wrong, the continuation of being taught wrong, and, you know, you're going to teach your child that. And so it has to be broken some kind of way. And again, the goal, I think, for me and even for you, is to be like, what we've been doing is not working. Something has to change.
Right.
And I just honestly believe if more women, particularly Black women, understand that what we've been doing over the past 30, 40, 50 years hasn't worked, and it's been to the detriment of not only ourselves, our family, our community, and something has to change, then someone has to stand the hell up and change it.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, this is why, you know, I can appreciate there's a whole bunch of people out there who just like, it's not possible, it's too late, you're gonna have naysayers. But I can appreciate you at least being like, you know what, look, you can't convince nobody, but on me, like, I'm gonna do my part to try to save whatever aspect I can.
Yeah, and I know I've learned as well, especially in this space, because you're going to have people that say F the Communitah and I'm gone, and that's your personal decision and choice. But everyone doesn't think that way. And even though you might not see them in the chat, I get those messages.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I get those messages, particularly there have been men that say, I was thinking about that too, but you and you know, y'all give me hope. And when I listen to men, and now so I get those messages. And so for me, the work and what inspires me is the men that want it, and it's the women that want it. And there's always going to be naysayers, and no one's ever going to 100% be with you, and that's fine. But my tribe, my community, is people that want to work on the community and want to build this and make it better.
Absolutely.
Because we got children here. I'm not living my life just for me. What's our legacy? What's our family legacy? What are we leaving behind? And I want my footprint in this world to be that of servitude.
Right. Couldn't agree more. So I want to acknowledge some of the super chats that came through. Shout out to you, Omawali Africa. I see you in the building. I don't know where that sticker went, but thank you for the support for the $9.99. Okay, let me get these other super chats. I was gonna mix up. Okay, so I see Lazy Prodigy. It says, how do you destroy a community, separate the parents, weaken and confuse the offspring, control the woman? Thus you destroy the home, the families and generations will follow. This is what feminism and Roe v. Wade has done. Thank you, Lazy Prodigy, for the 20 on the super chat. And shout out to Willie Waka Whistle. It says, just showing love. Thank you for the 5. And then Marlon Watson with the 10. I see y'all are a part of what I call the pink pill community, a community of women who recognize that traditional submissive godly women lead by productive masculine godly men is critical for us to survive. That's funny because I was thinking of Crystal and Karazin, but
me too, because she actually did the pink pill. So I was like, we're not swirlers. Yeah, we are not.
He's trying to rebrand.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, and then there's a $9.99 from Omawali Africa. Thank you for the super sticker. And then I see Better You. It says, for the woman you've come across that want to lead, would you say that they grasp what leadership truly is? No. That's my initial response. No, I'll say this, and then I don't know if you can respond. There are certain women I think can be called to lead within certain capacities. I'm not saying that like all women should just be at home baking cookies all day and can't do anything else. It's like, obviously there are women who have leadership qualities. But I think there's a difference between there's one difference between you operating as a leader and like being a feminine woman leader versus you trying to now be a man as a leader. And I think there are certain women who feel like, especially in certain environments, like let's say you're in a corporate setting or a setting that's hyper aggressive, and you feel like you have to compete as a man in order to win. I think sometimes when that happens, when women put themselves in positions where they're essentially not being who they are and they try to lead from that, it can get out of bounds. And then if you have the need to control, if you have the need to lead because you want to control, that's not leadership, because true leaders are honestly the greatest servants. The best leaders are the greatest servants. So that's how I look at it. But I don't know if you want to.
Look, I agree. And great leaders know how to delegate. So when we talk about women in a women role, it's to be a helpmate, but it's help. I'm helping you. And your job as a leader is to understand where I'm best suited at. I need you to do this. So whether it's at home, whether it's a business, and I can see this in you. So leaders delegate. That's why it's important. I mean, we can say this PhDs, but it's the attitude that comes with a PhD. But you being smart is an asset. I don't know no man that wants a dummy. But also being smart as a woman is knowing your role and being with a man that has a mission and understands how you fit in that mission, and him telling you, look, I need you to do this. This is how you can help me, and this is how I'm going to make our family great. But our role is so important, but we want to be this with a man instead of letting the man be this. So again, this is like generational. Like, this is how our family has generational wealth, and this is how the home runs. And it's just, you playing your part, you playing your position, and being excellent at it.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. Leaders, to your really smart, effective leaders, don't necessarily feel the need to like micromanage all the time, and don't. I think good leaders don't have like crazy control issues. That's what I'm saying. I think they're more about how to serve the greater cause, the greater purpose, the people who are under them, versus just trying to make a name for themselves and be the one that makes the final decision. Totally, completely different ways of looking at it. This is why even, one of the things that I rarely hear talked about, even, okay, if you think about this idea of submission, right? Where that's always a constant topic of discussion. And then especially within like, the faith setting, how submission is very much a faith or biblical concept, right? Submission within the home, women submitting to their husband, things like that. And a lot of women, I think, who are hell bent, or they are like so upset about the idea of submission, what they don't want to talk about is the fact that like men, usually they have the higher responsibility. Like, again, if you go back, just thinking about the idea of submission in the Bible, right? Where it says, okay, women, respect your husband, submit to your husband, but then it tells the husband to lay down his life for his wife. So it's like the man has a higher call. So it's like, we're over here complaining about and trying to beat our chest, trying to be leaders. But it's like, do you want the responsibility to put your life on the line? You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, even if you go back to what I said, Genesis 1, right? Where Eve did all this different stuff. When Eve sinned, or she transgressed, in the story, God wouldn't talk to Adam. He was like, what's going on with your wife? So it's like, okay, we can talk about trying to lead or wanting to be equal, but it's like, do you understand the responsibility that's associated with that? And that, again, is something that I think is not oftentimes addressed.
I agree. And that's why men are built the way that they are. And that's why women are supposed to be soft and more delicate and more sweet, because we're not supposed to have those responsibilities. That's not what God created us for. God created my hips to bear children, not to bear the world and to provide for my whole entire family. That's not what I'm created for. I'm created to help you do it and to look pretty doing it. That's it. That's it.
That's funny.
And again, for the life of me, I don't know why women are so damn excited or want all the responsibilities to do it on their own. I don't.
I honestly, I think going back to what you mentioned, this fantasy, I think because a lot of us are just have disbelieved lies. I don't know how else to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if what you see is like this boss chick, boss babe, level up, whatever, and you see her as somebody who's just going in the office building at whatever hour she wants, calling her shots, people are listening to her, then she gets to leave at like 2 p.m. and go get her nice little 5-star dining and then have a massage, and like that's her boss babe life. Like, because sometimes that's the picture that's painted. Yeah, a lot of women are into that because they see the luxury, they see the stuff, they see basically I can get whatever I want, but not necessarily have the accountability of having to be under someone's authority. And so, yeah, of course, that may appeal to the ego, but it's not realistic because to actually get to that point of having that power or that control or that money, this is a capitalistic system that's based upon competition. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to get there, you're going to have to compete with other people to get there, including men. And that's hard. So, but that part isn't really talked about as much, or it's not.
No, it's not. It looks good. Just even with that recent divorce of Tia and Mowry.
Right, girl.
You would have no idea that they was having problems because what they portrayed and what it looked like was pure bliss. But you don't know what's going on in these people's houses. All bitches are being evicted.
Right. No, literally. No,
literally being evicted. So these ideas, social media has played a lot in our head, and we have these fantasies. Again, that's why I said, do you know what it looks like? Have you been around this? Do you know what that type of woman is and what she looks like and how to identify her? Do you know that type of man and how to identify him and how to maintain his needs? And so it's how do you know it? Have you been around it realistically instead of listening to everybody on a podcast, instead of looking at social media in the shade room and thinking this is what a woman's supposed to be. This is what a man's supposed to be, because they're false and fake. Okay. Fakeness. So yeah, I can talk about that.
No, you ain't. That's like I said. That's a whole nother conversation, right? I mean, I have one of my friends is an aspiring model who you look at her Instagram. She's beautiful, taking all these shoots and all these outfits, and then I talked to her like 9 o'clock at night. She's door dashing till 1 p.m. Struggling to pay rent in a not even a 1-bedroom, like a room in a 1-bedroom or something, or like a 2-bedroom or something. And it's like, yeah, you look at this person's life, you wouldn't necessarily get the sense of, you wouldn't know all of that's happening behind closed doors. So, and this is the reality that people live, shout out to Young East with the 2. It says bad day alert. Was that supposed to be
daddy?
I think maybe. Thank you for the 2. Shout out to Tate. Is that I don't want to butcher that name, but it's a very lovely name. I think it's Tobin with the $9.99. So the question is, do we believe things will be fixed? What improvements are being observed? I'm leaning towards SYSBM or overseas. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, Courtney, but feel free to.
Okay, the question is, do we believe things will be fixed? Yes, I do. And it's just historically, everyone knows that everything usually makes its way around. Mm-hmm. And in this phase, it's going to make its way around. Now, will I see it in my generation? I don't know. But yes, I definitely do believe things will get fixed. What improvements are being observed? What improvements? I think some improvements is what you're seeing now. It's Black women having the guts to talk about it. It's Black women having the nerve, the audacity to say things need to be changed and Black women are not perfect, that we need to work on a lot of stuff and that we do need our Black men, and being able to go against the divesters and the rudeness that people might come and call us this and that names, to say, well, no, what we're saying is true and we do need to change. And I'm leaning towards, well, I mean, all we can do is just show. And
Yeah.
if you're wanting a good Black woman and not wanting to go overseas and all that, then I think Black women need to speak out more. And it's always the ones that are the ratchet, the stank, the rude, that has the loudest voice. And I think it's time that Black women that believe in roles and gender roles and submission and want their man to lead, I think now is our time for us to step up. I think now is our time for our image to be better, for us to put on clothes, to respect ourselves. I think now is our time. If any, it's now.
Could not agree more. I'd get another hand clap. Like I said, my board is broken. So beautiful, beautiful response. Shout out to Marcus Evans with the $49.99 on the super chat. I see shout out to both of you beautiful women. We need more examples of Black women coming together like this. You are appreciated. Thank you.
You're on mute.
What is it?
I said you were on mute, but I hear you.
Oh. So I appreciate all of you guys for the love and support. Again, if you're on here, hit that like button. We are having a lovely conversation with the lovely I am Courtney Michelle, and she's just dropped a lot of gems just regarding this whole idea of stab, stealing them back. Essentially Black women creating a reason for the collective of Black men to feel like they can find what they need at home and not have to go overseas, not have to go abroad, but being able to stay within their own backyards and finding women worth marrying. And so this is what she's been talking about. This is what she's about, and it's been interesting to have this conversation. So I do want to make sure I acknowledge, I think there was a few more, then we can move on to the next question. And then if we have a few minutes, I can open up the call lines. I see Marlon Watson. I see Quality Brothers. Love y'all, Courtney and Shay. Y'all are doing God's work. Keep it up. We got your backs. Thank you again for the 10, Marlon. And then I see Rich Runaway Slave. I see glad to see what I recognize as melanated woman speaking up. Thank you for the 1999 Rich Runaway Slave. Okay, and then I think I got everything else is up there. Let me see. Oh no, this is one right here from Distinguished Legacy. It says our sisters have to stop the political bullying of Black men and try to understand the history behind the lack of trust in democratic figureheads. Exhibit A, Tiffany Cross, Tariq, Kevin Samuels. It is interesting how like anytime elections come up and you get around that season, how you always see Black men being kind of blamed for the way something happens or doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. It's very odd, especially considering that we are rather a small percentage of the overall population. Like, we're not the majority. So a shout out to Free Wi-Fi. It said $4.99. It says amazing collaboration. A show like this needs to be on TV instead of more of the normal male bashing, gender dividing programming. Appreciate you. Well, and I will say this is exactly why I believe that you should support your favorite content creators. So shout out to Dr. T is on. I think he actually just launched a TV network you can find on Amazon Prime. So show love and support there, because at the end of the day, we don't really run mainstream media. And so there's only so much control that we have over what is being presented. But I think the best way we can make sure that these kinds of conversations, these productive conversations, get out is by supporting them, by promoting them, sharing them, doing our part. So Thank you for the support, and also support your independent content creators, support independent filmmakers, all those who are sharing messages you want. because that's how we get the message out there.
And let me respond to that, because the
Mhm.
thing is, and it's unfortunate, is that you won't see these conversations on a big public platform. There is value in society for us to be separated. You get
Oh,
more.
absolutely.
It's value in it, and they I don't want to go into, I don't want to sound hotepish, but there's value in us being separated. There's value in me not marrying you. There's value in having multiple kids out of wedlock. It's the government get more money. They can take more money out of black men, more taxes that you got to, black men are paying when they're paying for child support. So if they can get me in a house and you in a house, that's 2 mortgages, that's 2 light bills, that's 2 water bills. There's no value for us to be together for generational wealth, but it's not valued as a society. So nothing is going to be brought up in a public platform for us to grow together, to work in our community, because they don't see the value in it. They see us as monetizing off pain.
This is exactly, you hit the nail on the head, and this brings me back to another point. Like, I think one of the reasons why divorce is something that's constantly being pushed, something that's constantly highlighted in media. Like, I think it was just yesterday alone, my husband said he saw like 6 or 7 major divorce stories from the media. You don't see love being celebrated. You definitely don't see black love being celebrated. But divorce, we will see pushed, and then the drama ensuing after the divorce. But the divorce industry, I think, is like a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is a ton of money to be made when people are separated. And to your point, if there's 2 different households, those are 2 different workers who have to essentially enslave themselves, and whether it's the corporate system, whatever system, to pay bills. That means there's more workers. Whereas when you have a man and woman working together, they're building a family, you may have one less worker. You have maybe have one who's staying at home. And so that's less money to be made for X, Y, and Z, whatever business. So yes, you're right. A lot of these things, it's like if you go back to the money incentive, you go back to the fact that there's money to be made off of division to a certain extent. It's like, oh, of course, well, no wonder we're not seeing this. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. We just have to be more aware.
Yes. And that's why I said you need more women like you to start speaking up so people can see it, because it is happening. I have to literally, like on my IG, I continuously posting black love and couples and families and seeing what, like, I continuously post it because it is happening. I follow black love pages because I'm a big proponent of it. So I search out for these things because sometimes the algorithm will show you some things. You're like, again, we still twerking on tables, and which we are.
Oh my God, I'm so over it.
Right. So I need to see black women doing well. I need to see that encouragement. I need to see black, like, shout out to, Jonathan Boyega.
Who said that he actually likes black women.
I need to hear that. Yes. He said if your melanin not over 7, got to be at least 75%. I need to hear that as a black woman that loves black men. So it's some things that we just need to see and that we need to hear. You are what you intake. And if I keep intaking that you don't want a black woman, and I'm an American black woman, if I keep intaking that, it does something to your. I need to see something positive amongst each other, that we are working, and it needs to be shown. Because if you don't see it, people assume that it's not happening. And for me, that's not the case.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Those of us who have even whatever influence, big or small, medium, it's like trauma porn is what sells. Unfortunately, trauma porn is a big thing. Some of the content creators that I follow or I observe, I notice how the most views, the most clicks is the stuff where it's like people fighting, dissension, modern women are trash, black women have bad wigs, black men are dusties. It's like those kind of things. That's where you're getting the clicks and the views. And I don't know if it's like people are attracted to that or the algorithm or both. But unfortunately, that is what sells. So as a result,
we're attracted to mess. And we're attracted to mess because we need that to make ourselves look better and feel better. When we look at people's train wrecks, it's a validation for us to say that, hey, I ain't that bad. Look at them. Well, girl, I shouldn't be ashamed of never being married and I'm 60 because here's this marriage and she was married 14 years and it didn't work. So Absolutely. I stayed me. So they need validation to make themselves feel better. And that's why they see the bullshit.
Right.
But if you're a healthy, whole person, you need to see good things because for me, I'm on the opposite end. It's like, oh, well, that can happen to me. Oh, that should be happening to me. How can I make this happen? It's just how you reframe your mind.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. Shout out to I think Taban again. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. Forgive me. With the 199, it says thank you both. You are appreciated. Shout out to H. I'm gonna just say H. It says swirlers, divesting, and winches are traders. Thank you for the 2 on the super chat. I see Lady Prodigy again for the 5. It says bring back the Black families. Y'all give me hope.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support. And this is why we're having this conversation. I love to see, I love seeing relationships. I love seeing healthy relationships. I especially love seeing Black love in the midst of a society that doesn't necessarily promote that, Shout out to Barry Hamilton. It says, for the $8.99, it says, greetings to Shay and Courtney. It's S.T.A.B. If S.T.A.B is to succeed, would it make sense to have a term of engagement for both men and women than being like the gatekeepers to stop men pursuing their purpose? What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Barry. I love him. I want to make sure I understand the question.
Yeah.
So S.T.A.B was to succeed. If we say, if the Black men say, you know what, to hell with that, we go work with the Black women here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it make sense to have a term of engagement for both men and women than being like the gatekeeper to stop? Okay. Well, I don't want to say, and I want to make sure I understand it too, Mary, that I am or wanting to be a gatekeeper. My gate is, I don't have no gate. I'm not here to control you. I think anyone should go where they're appreciated and where they're loved. And if you feel that you want to get that elsewhere, then that's in your spirit, then you, by all means. My purpose and my goal is for us that want to work it out.
Right.
That's it. So if you don't want to, and it's the Blackistan and it's the Communitah, okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't gonna believe in this work. I get it. But for those that want it and want to stay and want to work with a Black woman and want they Black woman, the Black woman want to be better and don't want to have all this hardship and rough shit on their back and want to be free as a woman and let their man be free as a man, then that's what my channel is for.
Right. To your point. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. It's like, I'm not in the business of trying to convince somebody why they need to change, why they need to get married, why they need to consider Black woman, Black man, whatever. It's like, if a person's made up their mind, they made up their mind. Now, my thing is like, I can present my case. I can show you this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it. Mm-hmm. And hope that I would inspire somebody or hope that would, make somebody think or make somebody want to choose better. But there is no point in trying to convince grown men why they need to not date something or that ain't gonna go nowhere. So
and I ain't, like I said, I'm not, you better start knock you better out, I ain't doing all, I don't have the time, energy, I ain't fighting nobody. But if you think like me and want to show the work that's being done here and not wanting to save up to go overseas for flings or to try to find this, and then if it doesn't happen, ain't no reason why you can't find somebody here. If you in Tennessee, if you in Atlanta, and if you want to move, then move 5 hours away, not 15, 20 hours away. It should be that easy. It's millions of us here. It should be. And that's the work that we need. If we can't, then that's a fundamental issue and we need to work on that.
No, I hear you. Shout out to Marlon Watson again with the 5. I see Eve's punishment for the fall was plain through birth. Adams was having to work to provide for his family. Today, Eve want to take on her and Adam's punishment. That's bars. That's bars. It's like, why do you want to do both? So okay, so I wanna leave you with one more question, and
Mhm.
then if we have a few minutes, and if you're around to it, I can open up the call line just for a maybe a question or two or something. But so you've kind of been you've heard about this term Christian feminism. I know you've been open about your faith. I've obviously talked about my faith for some time, but Christian feminism, some of the things that I've seen is essentially the reason that some people can use to actually kind of push against this narrative, right? Or to push the negative narrative that, men are this, men are oppressive, women need to be in control, or, black men are trash. I mean, I have literally heard people who use their belief or their religion as a way to continue to promote this toxic ideology. How does your faith inspire you to want to go down this road of fixing the community?
Um, I've always told men, and as far as men calling folks chameleon, I was chameleon for months. Um, I said the easiest way that you can find or determine and how to vet is ask them the why. Why do you think this way? Why do you feel this way? And I have always and will forever stand on my faith. Um, my faith tells me what a woman was created for. I had a pastor tell me this years ago, and I use it still. Um, people are always trying to find their purpose, but your purpose is what God created you for. So, as a manufacturer, I didn't make this straw that I have. My straw is not to write. The
Mm.
straw specifically is to be made to sip my Diet Coke out of.
Mhm.
So, my God created my body as a woman for breast to feed my children, for vagina for insertion. So I'm supposed to be with a man. I'm supposed to be a mother. I'm supposed to be covered. I'm emotional for a reason. So my purpose and how I live has always been because that's what God created me for. And that's the reason why I believe in submission. And I'm going to submit to my husband's mission and what he has for me. It's me being a helpmate because that's what my creator told me I'm supposed to do. And I've just found it just so much easier. And we talked about peace, but it's so much peace in being your rightful position in your rightful role. And I don't have to worry. I'm not married yet, but do I worry about anything as there as a woman? No. I do have amazing men in my life that even take care of stuff like that. Like, all right, pressure washing my house. I ain't got my, go ahead, baby. So I'm putting myself in a position to be what God created me to be. And that's where I feel my purpose is. And when I feel, because I'm in my purpose and I'm about to be in my purpose, let me speak that into existence. Um, that's what peace is. And that's what peace is. A peaceful woman is a woman in her purpose.
I could not agree more. A peaceful woman is definitely a woman in her purpose. Bars, bars, bars. There. Really quick, I do see a few more super chats I want to acknowledge, and then do you have? So how are you on time? I know we're like right up against the 90-minute mark. I mentioned I usually shut things down, but if you want, we can open up the call lines for a few minutes. Or
I told you I'm with you, girl.
Okay, guys. So I want to make sure I acknowledge these super chats real quick, and then for those of you guys who have questions or comments, we'll have a few minutes to open up the call lines. Okay, so shout out to Austen Holleman. Good to see you here. Thank you for the $9.99. Good to see you here on this channel. Shout out to you. I think it's Viral Hammer TV. It says shout out to Shay and Courtney to turn around the Communitah from its current morass. It starts with building stable family units. Nuclear families are rare. Totally agree. And you know what? Not only, I mean, nuclear families are under attack, period. Mm-hmm. It's not just the Black community, just like marriage rates all across the board are tanking. So there are things that are impacting this nation in general, Okay, I see free Wi-Fi with the $9.99. It says Kevin Samuels went mainstream. Granted, he was a one-on-one. I think the message can go mainstream. A daily daytime show. Can you imagine Kim's and Kier in between soap opera and court shows every day? Crimson Cat. Oh man, yeah, that woman is fire. She's so fire. James Wingate with the 5. It says, so black women wait till late 30s with kids, now want good men. Now even younger black women don't want marriage. They want partners. That why must good men move on? Oh yeah, that's why good men must move on. Yeah, like I said, I'm not in the business of trying to convince men to not explore their options. I'm all for a man going to find whatever option is necessary. And let's just be clear. Man, human nature in general, and men in general, it's like generally they're going to go for the I don't want to say the path of least resistance, but for the best deal. So I would think if a man was in his community and he saw a woman that was in his neighborhood or whatever that was nice to get along with and fit, feminine, friendly, whatever, was easy to work with, he wouldn't have the need to go abroad. I don't think men are necessarily happy about the fact of inconveniencing themselves to go abroad to find women because they can't find it in their backyard. So like to me, the fact that there is a need that men feel to inconvenience themselves when human nature is to do what's convenient. You know what I mean? Like to me, that shows like, yeah, there's obviously a breakdown. I'm not here to shame anybody who feels they need to do that. I'm not here to try to judge them and say, oh, well, you can't this or that. I'm like, I'm just here to listen. I'm not a man, so I don't know what the dating market is like, But I think if nothing else, it's like, yeah, maybe we should. Some agree, some don't agree, but it's like there's something to unpack here. If there's enough men saying there's a problem, like there has to be something to unpack,
Yeah. And I said that because even talking about a community, I mean, we work as a collective, regardless if you like it or not. We just do. So being in this space, and you hear a man in Kentucky, a man in Alaska, a black man saying the exact same thing, and they don't know each other, but collectively have having the same issue.
Yes.
It got to be true. It got to be something to that.
Right.
And not to acknowledge it. That's what the delusion comes in, to not even acknowledge that men are having like experience with black women nationally, and to not acknowledge it, and to now not change it or even listen and be empathetic to what they're going through and saying is just foolish.
Right. Okay. And here's, you know what? So I'm going to open up the call lines, but as I'm doing so, if you want to expound upon this, please let me know. But because in your opinion, you've kind of touched upon this, but if you want to sum it up in 60 seconds or whatever, how will black women be able to stab or steal these black women back? Like what exactly, let's say if you had, okay, here's the next year plan, or here's the next 5-year plan, or here are the top 3 things that black women as a collective need to do so that black men get the message that they don't need to go abroad. What would be your plan? What is your strategy on how black women can effectively stab?
Well, the numbers show, okay, from 2021, that again, majority of black people that are marrying are here. They're not going overseas. It's not interracially. We majority marry each other. Proximity matters. As far as long relationships, we understand even long distance relationships usually do not end well. So proximity matters. We are marrying each other. So the stabbing part, even I thought about this today as far as another acronym for it is saving the American black woman. And it's us saving ourselves, getting ourselves together to be that woman that God created to be, and to again let the man lead. So in 5 years, I'm hoping to see more people, obviously more marriages, mine included, and and for us to focus on our families, and that's the goal. And to procreate black people with black people, and that's to make beautiful little black chocolate babies, and for them to grow to be healthy adults, and to continue on with our community.
Okay. Well, like I said, that sounds like a beautiful vision. And, God bless you on your endeavor. That's all I can say. Austen, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you. I've been meaning to do this for a while.
I know. Well, thanks for hopping on. I mean, what do you got? I'm curious what you got in this whole topic.
Well, I seen Courtney was taking a shot at the in my community a minute ago, about 15 minutes ago, when she said that if you have to travel, there must be something wrong with you.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
Oh, we were reading the super chat. I think we were reading the super chat.
Yeah, get it together, Austen. I did not say that. What I said was if men are thinking that, or having to travel, there's obviously something wrong with what's going on here, and we need to fix it. I also stated that if men nationally are saying collectively the same thing about Black women, then they can't be wrong, and it behoove of us to listen, to be empathetic, and to make particular changes.
Okay, so what are you doing?
What am I doing for what?
To make changes amongst yourself.
Me personally?
Because I remember last time you said you wanted to listen.
Well, I do listen. So it's not a one, I do listen. So I want to make sure I understand your question correct. What am I doing personally for
to keep
my Black man?
To keep men here, yes.
Yeah. So I guess you came in late, Austen. And I already told you this with our conversation. My goal is for the men and women that want to work on the community here. So I can't control you. I can't force you. I'm not a slave driver. My goal here is to work on the community here and to support the Black men that want a woman here, to show them that there are Black women that also want them.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood the first thing. It sounded like you was taking a shot at us. That's my second time misunderstanding you, I guess.
Oh. Well, that's all right. Now I'm here to clarify.
That's all good. There was a lot of super chats coming in, and this, this is a rather controversial topic. I have people here who are like full blown SYSBM. I don't want to deal with ne'er Black woman, nothing. And then you have some who are like, love American Black women. They ain't leaving and then some who are like, I want a Black woman, but I'll go to Haiti to find one. I'll go to DR. So we got everybody, but everybody has something to say. So it happens, but happy to have you here. Okay, let me see.
I also seen, how come you didn't send those people to my show?
Well, there was a couple women that I told them about your show, and then they checked out your show.
They checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't call in.
No, they watched. So as far as with content creators here, and a couple of the women that I said that I would suggest to bring to your show, they watched some of your shows, and really the overwhelming feedback that I got was they didn't feel like it would be an honest conversation, I guess because of the chat, and they would want to talk to you, but it wouldn't be an honest conversation and feel under attack. So, I mean, all I can do is throw that out there, but I can't make nobody do nothing that they don't feel comfortable in.
Oh yeah, we don't disrespect anybody, so I don't know where that came from.
Well, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but so. I mean, what are your thoughts on S.T.A.B? Do you think this is possible, even remotely?
S.T.A.B?
This whole
I've never heard of it.
So this was, this is essentially what this conversation is about. The lovely I'm Courtney Michelle. I think her and We Need to Talk, correct if I'm wrong here. But, in their different collaborations, they came up with this idea, S.T.A.B, right? Or, save your community, Black men. And that's essentially Black women creating a movement that shows Black men in America that they don't need to go abroad. They shouldn't have to go to abroad to find good, lovely, marriageable women. So this is the conversation. She was explaining to me just her ideas, her thoughts, how they came about this, what that would look like. So, I mean, do you think that this is even possible? Do you think that there's any possibility that there could be a turnaround for a collective, for a small minority? What are your thoughts?
I was just about to say, I don't think there's enough women that could get on board for that to be too effective.
Okay.
I don't know how well. That's why I say that there's no hope.
So you say there's no hope for the Communitah, at least out here. You're not the first one. I had quite.
I think Black people has shown decade after decade, over centuries, how resilient we are. I think Black people have been in situations where we did not feel hopeful, and we've came out. I think we are people that overcome a lot. And if we've able to come over civil rights movements and Jim Crow and slavery, and even our ancestors that was even strong enough to make the trip from Africa over to the Caribbean, over to here, we're strong enough to do that. There's no doubt in my mind that we're not strong enough or capable of fixing our families.
I think the results are showing otherwise, though.
Well, I don't necessarily say that. I think in the 60s we were married at an 80% rate. So it's been on a decline since the 70s and the 80s. But that decline doesn't mean that it can't be turned around. Every statistic can be changed, but it has to take those willing to put in the work, have a strong enough voice to say things that needs to be changed, gather people that want the change, show it. And we show the change by women getting more healthy, physically, mentally. It's women understanding their rightful role, being God-centered. It's women wanting their husbands to lead and showing what leadership is. It's showing our children what that looks like. So anything, if it went from 80 to 30, then that was a dramatic change, but that does not mean that it's a never, where that change can't go on a rise again. So I would never say never at all, especially being Black and what I've overcome, my grandparents overcome. We've overcome a lot, and they never said never, gave up. And so I'll be silly enough to just give up on something that generationally my family has fought for.
Well, I mean, it's possible, yes, but what's the likelihood of that happening?
What was the likelihood of us getting out of slavery? What was the likelihood of a lot of things? We didn't know unless we tried. We didn't know. We didn't. If there wasn't a Martin Luther King, if it wasn't a Malcolm X, if it wasn't for those people that tried, that saw wanted change,
Both of those people got murdered. So clearly, there's
but
something that's limiting.
Yeah, and I'd rather, live on my feet than die on my knees. So sometimes change, people are worried. Some folks want to die for things. I mean, that's what they chose to do. But what they did, their footprint and the longevity and what they created was worth it. And we all gonna die. And I'm not scared of death. Thank God I believe I have a savior in heaven. But I mean, my family, my community is worth fighting for. And God so loved, I mean, I can go biblically with that, but I ain't scared of dying. And right now, creating or saving our family, I don't think it's necessarily a death physically. I think it's a death of ourselves. I think it's a death of being selfish. I think it's a death of women not understanding their rightful role. The death that we need is not a physical death. It's the death of our ideology and what we were told to do, what we were ingrained to be. That's what we need to die to. Paul talks about dying to self daily. That's the death that we need.
I mean, like I said, it is possible, but I don't think there'll be enough men with my message going around. And I'm not the only one in that community. And my community actually has results. So will there be enough men that you would want left over here?
Well, majority of men are here.
Of course.
Majority of men are not going overseas. So the men that are not going overseas, they deserve to be with an amazing woman. And I want them to be with an amazing Black woman. So again, my work is here.
But the majority of women don't want the majority of men. They want a minority of men. It's a minority of men going overseas, not a majority.
Okay. So I think with women in general, women, we always say hypergamous, and women are always wanting a particular type of man. The work again is understanding what man that you need to get and need and focus on your need instead of something fleeting like your feelings of what you want.
Fleeting?
So feelings are fleeting.
Oh.
So the focus on is, and again, women like married women that we have, um, that's putting in the work as well, is understanding and ingraining in something different. It's us thinking. I always go to the movie Higher Learning. Shout out John Singleton, where it says unlearn at the end. We have to unlearn a lot of things that we were taught. And that's one of the things that we have to learn is understanding what you need in a man instead of what you want. Because those wants change, but that need is going to be what's going to be consistent and what's sustainable and its substance.
I would agree. I mean, it sounds good, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of women aren't implementing those things.
Well, I don't, it might not be a lot, but for those that are, they need to speak up. And for those that are, we have to have an alternative. We have to have women that are an alternative to the Meg the Stallions, to the Cardi B's. We have to have an alternative. And for these younger women, then they can see a difference instead of thinking this is how women are. They have to see women that are not like that, that are showing and proof, that are beautiful and elegant and classy. I go back to the Dorothy Dandridges and how beautiful and elegant as far as what she looked like. And that's what inspires me. And I think we need to start showing more women like that. I think even Bootsy made a tweet that said, "I get attracted when women put on their clothes." Like we that is, it's phenomenal that he has to tweet that, but it's true. If you want to stand out, then put some clothes on. If you want to stand out, take them silly eyelashes off and stand up straight and be poised. That's how you stand out now. It's the elegance and it's the class, and that's what we need to show as Black women.
Hmm. Well, I think we need to just get the younger Black women to understand that, or younger women. I don't ever say the race,
Mhm.
but younger women, because younger men are listening to me and they're understanding that if they deal with bullshit here, they can try somewhere else. And I just don't see a woman my age in this space teaching women what you're trying to teach them.
Well, and I also think that when you have a platform, you're going to attract likeness. So, whereas your platform, you're going to see the abundance of men that think like you is because they think like you. On my platform, I'm going to see more like-minded people that want to see Black love, that want us to be together, that want amazing Black women, that Black women that want amazing Black men, because they're like-minded. So our platform is going to attract likeness because that's what I put on my page. If you don't believe in it, then I don't know why you would want to watch it. If you don't want to see Black women and Black men kissing on each other, then you ain't gonna like my IG, or you're not gonna like, you're just not gonna like it. So you're gonna attract what you're gonna attract. Um, and I'm cool with my little tribe for us to put in the work and show and prove. I always like being the underdog.
I,
Well, I support it.
Thank you.
there's this question in here, I think, that kind of lends greatly to this. And shout out to you guys, super chats. I'll be sure to acknowledge you in a bit. But this, I think, kind of connects to Austen's pushback. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it reads, why should Black men be shamed to stay when they could get a young virgin Black woman or any virgin who's hot and sweet and already set to be a wife? What are your thoughts on that, Courtney?
Well, I don't know, it's shaming. I hear that a lot. When someone has a critique, it's not shaming. When you put your business or thing on the internet and think that no one is going to critique you, that's not shaming. I get critique quite often. I get told it's not going to happen. You a fool. You an idiot. Are they shaming me? I guess I could say the exact same thing. Why are you shaming me? Because I want Black family, that I want Black men here, that I want Black women here, that I want us to have our little fro babies. Like, are you shaming me because that's what I want? So it goes both ways. If that's the case, I've been shamed up and through this chat already. I've been called delusional. I've been called, well, you're too late and no one's listening to you.
Well,
I believe in what I'm saying, so I don't take it as shaming. You can critique, but I stand on it, and I'm not going to say don't shame me. You can shame me all you want, but you ain't changing what I know to be fact, and that we need each other.
yeah, well, I get shamed a lot, and it's just further validating why men should leave. And I guess women like you aren't able to be seen over all the BS that I see.
I never really, because this is me, my personal opinion. I understand both your perspectives, right? I understand, Courtney, you being like, look, I want to be the difference maker. If I'm looking around and there's trash all around it, then I'm going to be the one to pick it up. And whoever wants to join me, I'm going to do that. Now, if I get made fun of, if I get blamed, whatever, but somebody needs to pick up this trash. Then you have men who are like, okay, somebody needs to pick up this trash, but do I need to wait around for it to be picked up? Or can I just go where I can get it immediately? So it's like, I truly understand both sides. And, for those who feel like they want to stay and build and stay directly connected with Black women in America, I'm like all for it. And also for those who are like, I want a Black woman, but I'm open to her being abroad, also open for that. Because, yeah, if you can go to a culture, a woman is naturally submissive and she has a very strong culture, has a really strong understanding of what it means to be a wife. You don't have to work through all this BS. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good deal. Who wouldn't want that? So I truly understand both sides and don't see the need to shame men who take a route that they think is best for them, especially in a culture that encourages women to do that all the time. Women are always encouraged to, expand their options, live their best life, go where they're celebrated, not tolerated. We will hear that all the time. Why shouldn't men do the same thing? So I truly understand both sides.
Yeah. And Austin, I told you this before. I understand where you're coming from. And I told you before, it's not that I agree with it, but I don't have to agree to not, I don't have to agree with you to not understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this even before we talked, is that, I am a proponent of Black love. And I don't think I need to travel thousands of miles to find it. And if that's the case, then we need to change something here. I should be able to go to a coffee shop and look at it and an attractive Black man say, hey, you want a mocha cafeteria or whatever? And he should feel comfortable that I'm not going to look at him like, nigga, who are you? Like, he should feel comfortable and let him know that he's going to be greeted with a smile.
Why is that in the first place? Why is that?
Um, you know,
Good question.
Kevin Samuels had a show about a year ago, and I've stated this before that it literally kind of teary-eyed me, and this is probably his most emotional show, where there was woman after woman saying that they don't even smile at men.
Mm-hmm.
No,
When a
no.
man, yeah, and when a man approaches them, they already turned up their noses,
Yeah.
and women don't even believe that they should even smile. And it goes back to what I stated earlier in here, is that we don't give men the benefit of the doubt. We come to our men as a defense, like I'm ready to attack you, like we football players up in here. Like, you coming at me, oh, I'm already ready. I'm getting a touchdown. F you. Like, we come in attack mode. It's because we as a community, Black folks, we don't trust each other. Now, why? I mean, we can talk about how it's been historically and how we've always been separated, and even how in slavery they emasculated our Black men, so Black women wouldn't even respect them. So it was the Willie Lynch theory of the emasculation of the Black man. So we can go historically there, but again, with generational curses, it's going to be a continuation. And even if it's not deserved, we still go into it as if you're wanting to hurt me, that niggas ain't shit, so therefore I'm going to treat you like shit before you can even harm me or hurt me. And that has to change. We have to give men the benefit of the doubt. And even if we get hurt, that men are not all the same. And guess what? You are going to get hurt, because that's life. Everybody is not going to treat me like a gem, but everybody ain't going to treat me like shit. And I have to be discerning and well enough to know and be able to figure out who is who. But I don't think that any of that is an excuse for a woman not to smile.
Yeah, somebody just left a good comment. It says women are so defensive and still pick the wrong man. But I wouldn't blame it on. I wouldn't even throw slavery on there either, because slaves were in Brazil and they act completely different there.
Well, I think that with the transatlantic slave trade, chattel slavery in the Americas was completely different than other areas. And even when slavery was in Africa, and I've been doing a lot of research on the Dahomey tribe and with this whole Women King thing and understanding what slavery meant. A lot of these countries, the word slave did not mean the exact same thing as chattel slavery here in the Americas. A lot of slavery was indentured servitude. That's why, me being a Christian woman, when they say, oh, just the white man and they're using it to enslave you, well, slavery in the Bible, it's not what slavery was here in the Americas. So I think we have to understand historically, context matters as far as just using the word slavery. It meant different in different cultures.
So, what else historically made women be on such defense whenever they met men? I mean, meet men now.
So I mean, even to surpass that, I think I like to look at stats. I like to look at facts and all that. So the decline of marriage rates in the Black community was more towards the end of the 70s and early 80s. The decline of marriage, and this is on blackdemographics.com if anybody wants to go Google to fact check me, it was a complete parallel. So not saying the correlation is causation. I'm not necessarily saying that. But if you look at where the marriage rate was on the decline, was also the decline of mass incarceration. So what was going on during mass incarceration in the late 70s, early 80s? It was the drugs that was pushed in our community. And then it was a lot of government programs that was also pushed, where I can get on government assistance without having a man. So I can get paid for not having a man in the house. Even though there were men around, but them not even being in the house, I could get money for. So there was a lot of systematic things that happened. It's just unfortunate that because we're not like that anymore, more men are in college than in prison. And we've completely changed that narrative, but our mindset hasn't changed. So we need a we need a renewing of the mind. I'm in a revival time right now. It's the renewing of the mind. What we thought, what we did in the 80s, we don't have to do no more. It's a revival that needs to be happening.
I would agree with the welfare part so far. As them being incentivized and not have a man, but they have crack everywhere, and in Brazil as well. I think maybe welfare did it, but I don't. It still just doesn't matter. The only thing that's gonna bring back femininity is World War III. If Russia come in and invade the United States, all that shit will go right out the window. All that I don't need a man shit will.
I said that a few months ago. I said, you know what? And when war breaks out, nobody's asking what a man is. Everybody knows who a man is when war breaks out. There ain't none of this 50-50 equality. I can do bad by myself. Women are very quick to be like, the men need to lead, the men need to protect and provide. Nobody is asking these questions during the time of war. So not that I wish that upon anybody. I don't think we would be having these conversations if, God forbid, we got to that point. People will be looking at men like, won't be like, okay, you gonna go to battle? Like they're not signing up for that. I mean, I know there's a few who are in the army, so I'm not trying to downplay those who have signed up, but I think the overwhelming collective of Black women are not signing up to be in war. We don't even like to sign up to go into dangerous jobs, although we have.
Yeah, we're not doing construction, we're not plumbing, we're not being mechanics, we're not working on cars. I mean, like, let's keep it one on it. We don't want to do those jobs because but we don't understand that what we want to do is it's innately, and that's our nature. We don't want to do this job because God didn't create us for it to be doing hard labor like that. That's not what we were created for. However, you still want the mentality of the man that does that job. So again, it's a mind change that we have to do. Our bodies know that we're not fit for it. So why ain't your mind connecting to your spirit?
That's a good question.
It is. And, I'm just hoping that more women can connect the dots.
Right. I see. Okay, thank you. Shout out to Sean Carrington. It says more slave ships cross the Middle Passage heading to Brazil than the U.S. So down there, we often meet Black women who are also descendants of slaves and look just like you, but they prioritize their men and family, not their job. Thank you so much for the 30 on the super chat. Really good comment. I also saw one, I think, come through from, was it Mr. Albert? I think he had a question or a comment for you, Courtney, Michelle. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge that. I will say, I remember when I went to Colombia a few years ago, I was actually surprised at how diverse it was, because I'd always seen like one I guess portrayal of Colombians, especially like on these telenovelas. They're all very light, most of them are. But I went to Cartagena, which I think the majority of Africans were like shipped there. And I mean, I saw people that look, they could be my cousins, literally like family, like kinfolk over there chilling, like talking full Spanish, like totally integrated in the culture, but they look just like me, look just like you. And so I saw a comment in there when they're just like, oh, this one right here. He's like, Courtney, do you realize there's more Black people outside of America? He's like, you can't just find Black here. Like you can literally go. You could go to Germany and find some Black folks. I'm not saying I recommend that. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, that's fun. No one is fighting or arguing that. So yeah. But again, I'm here in America.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm reading the chat.
Okay. So I'm here in the States. And so the work is here in the States for me. So like I said, you do what you want to do. I'm not here I'm here in America, and I want to work on my country and here to make it the best.
These people in your chat are part of the problem.
Austen, you stay in the chat. Get out the chat.
They are part of the problem.
I'm not seeing all of it, honestly. I'm like, I told people, I'm like, look, if y'all want to see your comments, the super chat is the best way, because after a while it's just my comments be freezing. I can't see everybody. I see this one, Prime VA 757. I've been traveling annually once or twice a year since I was 24. I'm 34 now, and it's good for Black men to travel and see the world. Austen is smart. I think people should travel in general, but I think especially men. I think especially men should travel and go, even if it's not to find a wife, just to have that experience, because I think that's innate in men to want to go and explore and conquer and build and do different things. So I think it's very healthy for a man's his masculinity to go do that and experience different cultures and to explore. This is my opinion.
I agree.
So I am all for men traveling, whether it's with their American wife or to find a wife. Like, I just think men should do that in general. Who want to? Not all men want to travel, but for those who want to, I think it's really healthy.
You should be able to travel somewhere where you can be masculine and not be shamed for it.
That I have no pushback there. Like I said, I'm not. If the experience of men in America is that they are shamed for being who they are, I would be crazy as a woman to say, well, you should stay and just rough it out. I would be doing a disservice to that person and their individual experience. Now, of course, you go to different areas, you move to different communities, you'll get a different experience. Like, for example, my experience here in the San Francisco Bay Area is a lot different than when I go to East Texas. So, there are subcultures within America, but like I said, nobody has the right to tell any man or any woman for that matter, where they should go to feel accepted. Nobody. So you're never going to hear pushback from me from a man being like, I just don't feel comfortable in this culture. I would much rather go abroad to fight. Like, you're never going to hear any pushback here. You just won't. Shout out to James Wingate. It says, I understand Black women want to change now because of economy has changed, but will Black men go back to all intersectional feminism? Trust is earned, not given. Interesting question.
I understand Black women want to change now because of the economy has changed. I mean, they're going to have to elaborate on that.
I don't know that intersectional feminism.
No, I mean, I don't agree to that at all as far as with the economy changing. Actually, there is a reason why companies are building up Black women more than Black men, because we hit the double minority spot. So it's actually easier for me to climb a corporate ladder than a lot of black men. I'm a black woman. So pop, pop, pop. Now, if I was gay black man, I'd be living large. So I don't know if I necessarily.
Well, you might. I saw a study not too long ago go viral for saying that modern women are hard to deal with. So listen, even lesbians are having struggles.
No, yeah, because
okay,
look, I saw that too. I think she was like from New York, but women nature is just women nature. Yeah, I've seen that. And it's true. So even women are saying the same thing. So again, I agree.
Hard to deal with.
I agree.
Women are hard to deal with. Like I said, it's I can, as a woman and as a woman who knows different women, some who are married, some who are very much modern women, like some of my friends who I love dearly personally, I'm just like, you wouldn't be good for anybody. I'm beautiful. When they look beautiful, they may, some of them are like trying to be models. Some of them, got the abs, the look, exoticals, whatever. And I'm just like, you would be toxic for anybody. You're toxic for yourself. So just in my own experience and the different friends that I've had and women that I know, I'm just like, if this is what men are dealing with, grab your passports, like, peace. And of course, my heart, this is partially why I started the How to Be a Wife series. I know there's just certain women it's like, you can't save everybody. That's just not going to happen. Right. It's more for like, okay, for those who are like-minded. And then for younger generations, I think younger generations have the right to at least see an alternative. Whether they or not they choose it is okay. But they should at least have the alternative and know that you don't have to go down this road. Like, you don't have to just be like a Meg Thee Stallion or a Cardi B, or like, you don't have to do that. And by the way, if I think of like the Cardi B's and the Beyoncé's, all these women who have like promoted feminism and they go home and do this whole housewife submission beach, like that's a whole other thing. But it's like, I think they deserve to know that there's an alternative. So I look at it that way, but I'm like, am I thinking that like, okay, this work means that 40 years from now, 90% of Black women are going to be in America are going to be married, and there's going to be a strong Black patriarchy if that's what the community believes is best? I don't know if I believe all that. If I'm being honest, but I'm open to learning. I'm open to being wrong. I'm just more like, let me do my part, and whoever feels like they want to do this, cool. If you feel like you want to do something else, cool. No shit, I get it. Shout out to Lazy Prodigal. I see the pessimism is palpable with this one, but he write, WWC will bring about Courtney's revival. That's gonna be something new. No longer, feminist is no longer in the Ukrainian dictionary. I haven't looked that up, but I would be that would be very interesting. So, okay, Austen, I have a question for you. What, if you could, what would be your word of advice to Black American women? Since I know you're one who were just like, look, I gotta go. So if you were to give a constructive, right, word of wisdom or advice to Black American women, maybe for those who are like, okay, actually, I would like to land a man in my community. What would be your word of advice if you had one? Or is it just like, it's too late?
Courtney asked me this and I told her it was too late. And I told her that they should probably just watch my videos. But usually it goes right over their head because I know I'm pretty blunt, so it might come off as insults. But I mean,
so if I'm just to be clear, if a passport bro or somebody who's like already like, I'm done, if they happen to run into a woman in America that is fit, feminine, friendly, and she seems like she may have potential, you're saying men who have already made that decision are just like, no deal. I'm not even going to engage, even if they seem like she might have potential.
That's how I am, and a lot of dudes that I know are like that as well.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, you can't. At a certain point, there's no need in trying to convince somebody if they made up their mind. When a man makes up his mind, he makes up his mind. What you gonna do?
So let me ask you a question for the women, like I said, that saw and was kind of getting that feel, Austen, as far as a Black woman coming on your channel. Why would she come over there?
She would come over there because the title of the show was "Were Passport Bros Wrong About American Women?" And that would be her chance to defend any statements we made against them. Usually it's one-on-one, but nobody's attacking those women when they're on my channel.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is, and especially you saying that it's over, it's done, and no hope. Like I said, we had this conversation, so it's there. Like for me, there would be, if you think it's done and we have no hope. Me being a Black woman in the South, and there's no hope for me at all. So I don't know why would I come over there? There ain't no hope for me. What are we gonna talk about?
Well, it's no hope. It's not that there's no hope on my channel. He may be watching. The thing is, the main problem is women here, and it's not just women. The culture here is to be cold, so nobody shows enough emotion towards anybody. And for me, that's not going to work. I'm not taking anybody serious that I'm questioning. This, no, y'all. Not saying y'all, but the majority of American women just don't know how to show interest.
Have you, curious, before you went abroad, did you like date in different states, or did you stay in Dallas? Because I'm like, is the thing that gives you the experience that the majority of American women are like this? Is it because you're talking to other men from other states who share your experience, or have you yourself gone to different states and dated different women? And you're just like, no deal, this isn't happening.
So, like I told Courtney, I've flown women in, and it was still, it was always like a damn catch to it. Dallas is horrible.
I have family in Dallas, so
everybody says the same thing that I say in Dallas, that it'll make you quit. I went to Austen and it was better.
Oh, that's
but after being exposed to other countries, it just doesn't compare. So the best advice I give a woman is to not let the man she's interested in even get exposed to that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this now, just to kind of piggyback off the exact same thing, where I believe that you're going to gravitate to where you're wanted and who wants you. And even talking about your page, Austen, and what you have going on, that it's going to be hard to get women over there because they are not going to be wanted.
Who's not going to be wanted?
Now, I watch your stuff.
No. Who's not going to be wanted?
If I come to your
American women over there.
Yes. So you're going to want to be in space where, at least if you don't agree with me, but yet you're still wanting to work it out or try to figure out some kind of plan, some kind of deal, then yes, then those are the correct conversation to have, because you're willing to have the correct, healthy, hopefully, conversation of us working together. But if it's not, and you've already deemed me as unsavable, you've deemed me as unworkable, unmarriageable, then it'd be no reason for me to. You're setting me up. Like, there's no reason for a Black man really to be hanging out in a Divester page. For what? To be shamed, degraded, mocked?
No.
I don't understand why men would even go over there, because they're saying out of their mouths that you ain't nothing.
So the thing is, we had a Asian woman the day that the chicks that I asked for you that were supposed to call in. I invited 5 Black women and an Asian chick. The Asian chick was the only one that showed up. The other women, this isn't about Black women, just an observation. The Black women reached out the next day and told me they couldn't make it, like I gave a fuck. But I mean, why would you reach out to me the next day? But that's what dating is like in the States. So it just goes to show you that. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. She was cooperative, and if you go, I don't know if you can still see the live chat, but the amount of men that were saying, if I hadn't already experienced anything outside the States, I would give her a chance, because she's exposed. Not everybody that watches my page, just as many fools as you have in this channel. There are some people on my channel that don't agree, that may be interested in some of the women.
Maybe.
The Asian chick, I mean, honestly, I think she had a sucker for a boyfriend, but I mean, she has a chance if she wanted to find a man.
Let me find out, Austen.
No, it's not let me find out nothing. No, I'm just saying, No, we seen her boyfriend, and it was she didn't do a good job of describing him either.
Well, I will say I actually talked about this in one of my lives a few weeks ago, and I was kind of like, yeah, I could understand why men would do this, because you mentioned the Asian girl. You know, I have quite a few Asian friends. I actually went on a few weeks ago, went on a trip with two of my friends, both of them are Asian. Both of them are Asian in their 30s, single, no kids, and no prospects, and no conversations about wanting to get married. And very much, you know, we've talked about marriage, we talked about family, and they very much have like a modern woman mindset, Asian women. I know actually 3 off the top of my head I can think of, Asian women over 31, I think is getting close to 35, single, no kids, no family, just kind of like doing her career thing. So the reason I bring that up is because some of the behavior, or some of the, you know, the emphasis on career, or putting, you know, family in the back burner, like you're seeing that all across the board, because that is in essence feminism, and feminism has impacted women of all ethnic groups. So again, going back to my earlier point of like, okay, why would a man maybe want to go abroad? I'm like, yeah, I could understand, because even if you're dating out even and still finding the same mindset, it's like you might just need a culture shift. You might just want to go to a culture where they're just more traditional, or women don't necessarily have the same pressure to have to try to achieve in this way, because they're more family minded. Like, because I mean, if you're seeing that white woman, black woman, Asian woman, like you are getting that. So I don't know. I just, again, going back to like, I get it. I could say like, I could understand that. I do want to acknowledge a St. Mosaic with TJ Randolph 999. I appreciate you. It says, I was in college with Kevin Samuels in the late 80s and 90s when more Black men were in prison than college, and most households were led by single Black women who ultimately encouraged daughters to be able to take care of themselves. This, I can identify with it. I can identify with this. I know many Black women who can identify with this. Now, I didn't grow up in a single parent household, but I'm saying that narrative, even if you did come from a family that was married, it doesn't mean you didn't have moms telling you don't do what I did, or it doesn't mean you didn't have aunts or cousins, or, you know, people around you saying don't do what I did, don't get married young, focus on your career. So like, even when you came up in 2-parent households, I've talked to other women about this. You've heard that narrative.
There is not a Black woman in this world right now
I didn't hear
that will tell you that their parents, mom or dad, did not tell them they need to know how to survive on their own, go to college, get a great career, make sure that you can financially take care of yourself.
Right.
There's not a one. There's not a one. So again, it's been ingrained in us. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with being self-sufficient. As an adult, you should be self-sufficient. But the idea is being self-sufficient so you can be interdependent and not independent. I can be self-sufficient because I want to make sure I create and have skill set for my family. Not that I have the skill set to do it on my own. And that's what we were missing back then when our parents taught us that. They didn't teach us the whys. It's you need to. And we didn't know how detrimental that was for Black women to try to have and be the role of a man. And taking care of ourselves mean that I'm going to be the provider now. I don't need you because I can provide for myself, but that's not what we're created for.
I mean, agreed. I don't know why your parents, I don't know why they said that. That was horrible advice.
Well, because they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And the 80s baby, I can tell you, that was affected by the crack epidemic. They didn't have a choice because we were in survival mode.
Right. Because, you know, I was thinking about this. It's like, when was there ever a time in at least in the history of America, where the Black family was like doing okay? That is not under pressure and able to really work or focus on the family. Like, you have, when was it, slavery? Was it Jim Crow?
No, I mean, I think the last time that the Black family saw an abundance of more wealth as far as was after Reconstruction, unfortunately. So but even after that, I mean,
Jim Crow?
Jim Crow happened because that's when they saw us. again, that's why we are overcomers. Like, we can get through it all. Even after that, Black folks was able, after the Reconstruction era, build Black businesses and then have the Black Wall Street. And we were able to do those things despite a whole country betting against us and not even calling us humans. We were three-fifths of a human being, but we still was able to make it through that. And you mean to tell us we can't make it through our household issues?
But and you know, to be fair, just to not to play devil's advocate, but just another perspective, because this is one thing that I've heard, right? Where it's like, okay, I think that Mr. Obsidian makes this point where it's like, okay, there was a certain time where it's like we kind of had to work together. Now we don't know the quality of those relationships because again, it's like literally you coming off the plantation or you're a sharecropper. Like my grandma was a sharecropper, right? So her vantage point, her mentality was completely different when it comes to relationships. Everything, it was more about like it was just surviving. But now in the economy that we have now, yeah, there are still definitely things going on that are impacting people. Like example, Black women being evicted. But in theory, it's like you don't have some of the pressures now that existed then. And so is there the need to have to try to just stick together just to survive? It's like people don't want to survive, just people who want to thrive. They don't want to just stay in a marriage that is abusive or you just do it because everybody else is doing it. And I think that pressure did exist back then, and my parent or grandparents era or grandparents era, that pressure existed then. It doesn't exist now. So like,
well, I'm gonna push back on that because right now we're still surviving. We're not thriving as a community. Black women are not thriving.
I don't disagree. I agree.
Okay, well then I ain't pushing back on you then.
No, I'm bringing out that's the argument that I've heard.
So
now, of course,
we're not thriving at all. We still in survival mode. And it's killing us. It's physically killing us where we're getting sick and dying younger because of the stress, because of being unhealthy, because we're doing it all our own. My body ain't created to do that. And it's literally killing us now. And we don't need white supremacy. I don't need KKK.
No, you don't.
I got my sister around the corner telling me I can do it by myself. And that mentality is literally killing us.
I don't disagree with that. Like I said, we like, to me, the self-defeating behavior is so strong that it's like we don't even have
I ain't got to blame the white man no more.
No. Not to say that there aren't still things that need to be addressed, but I'm like, to me, the more immediate issue is like what's happening at home to me.
Yeah.
You know? So okay, I did see a few other, I think, questions come in. Let me see if I can acknowledge it.
Austen, you will keep going in the chat. What is going on?
These people,
because you keeping up with the chat. They know that you also, you understand, they know that you're in the chat. So they know that they haven't grasped your attention.
Oh, you're in the chat more than I am. Like literally. Like I can't.
I mean, I be checking the chat.
I can't even keep up. I'm trying to just get to the chats to the people.
Look at his little face.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so thank you, TJ Mosaic. I saw wait, y'all, you have to forgive me. My computer's acting. Okay, so no guarantee with the 5. It says timing is everything. If you weren't in a successful relationship prior to social media influence, then it's rap and US. Cost of living unreal too. The cost of living is like, I literally, as we were on this conversation, I got a little notification. It says California's unheard of gas prices spike again. It's been spiking since the pandemic. So it's like people are feeling the pinch all over, you know. And that is even usually anytime the economy tanks or there's economic challenges, that does end up affecting relationships on whether it's on a micro level. Like, you know, they even say, I think, like, I want to say like the top 1 or 2 reasons that divorces even happen is due to economic struggles. That's like, that's high up there.
I think that's number 1 or number 2 is financial issues is the reason of divorce. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, this is one for Courtney Michelle. She says, Courtney, have you seen the prom pictures over the last 5 years? Gen Z and Alpha are not playing games. Young Black girls are upset. My nieces are asked.
Yeah. So I think that it's the idea of social media. So you seeing, and I know BGS posted a picture maybe a month ago of a prom with all white. Yeah, I saw that. But again, I don't know why.
Or what?
Of a prom, I guess a prom picture.
It went viral. It was just,
yeah, it went viral, and there's a few that do, but again, we don't know why, who they are. You don't know if it's the basketball team or baseball team and it's cheerleaders. You don't know if it's an organization picture that they took together. Again, it's for you to have someone to show you a picture of something and not knowing the context of it and having a picture try to say that this is what is happening. I don't think that's an educated response to have exactly what's going on. What I see is majority of Black men that are going to prom is with Black girls. And I see that more than, and it's gone viral because it's an interesting look. But if I post my picture of my prom date, you think that's going to go viral? No, that's normal and that's expected. So no, that's not going to go viral. So again, I don't look at pictures and determine a society off a picture. I take it for what it's worth. I look at the context of it. And if I don't get full context of what's going on, then I usually don't have a comment on it.
That's a fair point. I mean, would a picture of a whole bunch of young Black kids go viral? No. If you are in a predominantly all Black area, seeing a Black boys and Black girls is not surprising. But I think to their point, they're like, okay, cultural loyalty is something that's taught. There are a ton of Indian families where I'm around. Indian schools, Chinese schools, Jewish schools. This is something that is instilled within certain cultures. There sometimes are even consequences if you date outside of the cultures. This is one of the ways that certain cultures maintain themselves, maintain their lineage, maintain whatever. That isn't necessarily taught so much in America, especially in Black America. I don't think the cultural loyalty isn't really taught. You have mothers openly going online and saying, I'm going to teach my daughters how to divest so they don't have to deal with these dusty makers. You have Black men saying the same thing. Like, I'm telling my sons to go here. So it's like that loyalty, I don't think is something that's really a part of the culture in Black America. And I think that comment is speaking to. Personally, I could be wrong, but that's how I take it.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I know the picture and there's been a couple of pictures that I've seen, but again, I don't know the context of it. You know, I don't know if they were even in a relate. Like, we don't know. So I'm not going to take a picture of teenagers and determine our community based on a picture. No, I don't even know or understand the background. And a lot of people do that. And it's not a shot, but it's not a shot, but it's just realistic where I check out Mad Bus Driver. And I go to his page and he's notorious for showing all pictures of interracial couples. They look so happy. They look so happy. And it's the fantasy of these pictures. But you don't know if these are paid models. Because some of them I know that were, because I've seen them in Gap ads. So it's the pictures that people use to try to push something. But again, we don't know the context. And to do that, I think it's erroneous. I think it's erroneous.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Austen, do you have any comments on that?
So you guys are.
You ain't even paying attention.
No, I was. So you guys
looking at these comments.
No. I put it on full screen so I don't look at the comments anymore. You guys are making it seem as if we have to stick with Black.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
that's why I said we ain't paying attention.
No, because from what I'm hearing, I'm hearing racial loyalty, cultural, whatever you said.
No. What? Yeah, that's okay. Because what Courtney and Michelle were saying was like, people. Okay, like if we saw a prom picture of a whole bunch of different white couples, that's likely not going to go viral unless it's like there's something crazy behind it. Seeing a picture of a whole bunch of different Black couples is not going to go viral. You know, interracial is always something that is going to be a touchy subject because of
it's still taboo.
It's still a bit taboo.
It's still a little taboo for some.
So that's what she was saying, and then I was responding. She was saying, okay, that's taboo, but that's not necessarily common. And then I was telling her, okay, in response to that, cultural loyalty is something that's generally taught and I use like Indian cultures, Chinese cultures, Jewish cultures, different people that I know who they talk to me about the things their parents tell them. They talk to me about their history, like they have schools. But I was telling her in Black America that isn't necessarily happening, and so yeah, we might see more of a trend for interracial relationships in the younger generations because there isn't that need for cultural loyalty that some other people still have that pressure. I have a Chinese friend, or her mom told her, if you date a Black man or you date out, you're going to lose your inheritance. That doesn't happen as much. So that's essentially what I was saying.
Yeah, we don't disown our own, and Black folks are very accepting. Now you will hear mama say, you know, if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. Like that's but no one is outing you, and we first we ain't got no inheritance. Majority of us don't be having will, so we don't have nothing to kick you out of. What you gonna kick me out of, mama? This 1-bedroom apartment, stop. So we don't even have that to even leverage really race loyal and heritage and things like we don't even. We are the struggle.
So so that's what I was referring to. But I want to see Drago001 says, I'm Jamaica and Haitian. The best chance for, I'm assuming that's Black woman, are the Southern girls on the coast. I grew up in New England. They're mean AF up there. Shout out to you. Shout out to Mr. Donnie Mack. It says Austen has a video on his channel where a young Afro-Brazilian woman was kindly correcting his Portuguese with a feminine smile and giggle. I've never seen that in the States. B2Y, I'm in Dallas too. What do you got, Austen? Do you have any feedback on that?
I mean, it's true. It's just like what we were saying earlier, that most women here don't smile. They're super rude. Once you come back from Brazil, you don't even, I'm not tolerant of it. It's just not, I'm not even interested.
No, you are absolutely right that having that mean mug, we all know it. We all know it. We've all seen it. Some of us maybe have done it. It's a real thing. So again, are you gonna be mad at a man who's like, I don't want to be like growled at. I don't want to be trying to come up to a woman who's gonna growl at me in the era of Me Too, in the era of, you know, all this different stuff, cancel culture. I ain't trying to do all that. I said, Prosper Bros, we are winning, searching the world for the femininity. Shout out to you, Sonny Robinson, with the 10. I appreciate your love and support. Okay, let's see. James Wingate says that was before COVID-19. Black woman was moving up. Now automation coming in and those jobs are leaving. White tech, blue collar jobs will still be here. We are going to definitely see some changes, and that's going to be interesting to see how that impacts the economy and the dating market. It'll be interesting. Better you, in my opinion, the solution is Black people have to get out of their bubble and change the rhetoric to place value on men of character in the community. Agree there. If there continues to be this narrative that men are not valued, then yeah, men are going to go where they feel valued, and that could lead to a shortage. And that's the whole nother conversation. What's the future of modern women? I tend to have my own thoughts. I don't want to be dystopian, but it could go both ways depending upon what changes. I don't know if you guys have any feedback on that.
Apparently, there already is a shortage, right?
Yeah, the 2 million. What was I listening to?
What do you mean shortage as far as with men and women?
The 2 million or so that women
there might be a shortage of men. I mean, you always hear. I don't hear women. Yeah, I always hear them saying it's a shortage of whatever men they want.
Well, it's twofold. So there's more Black women here than Black men, but globally there's more. It usually evens itself out globally, or it's a tad bit more men actually globally than women. But Black women usually say there's no good Black men because they say they're either dead, locked up in jail, which I disagree. So they don't blame it on population of men. They blame it on the Black men are either dead, locked up, or gay.
They deflect. That's what they do.
Right. So that's where that comment comes from. But again, I disagree. Majority of men are not gay. Majority of men are not. What'd you say?
The majority of them do seem to be.
You think majority of men seem to be gay? Why?
Where? What? Where?
I've seen it all. The majority of men are gay. I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need you to. How do you come? Okay. How do you come to the conclusion that the majority of men in America are? I've seen report. I'll say this, and I'll let you interject. I did a report about this a few months ago, where it was looking at Gen Z, and what it showed was that women are overwhelmingly more queer. Right. This is based upon this one report. Women are more queer. Queer, yes, meaning bisexual, pansexual, all that. Women are more on the spectrum sexually, more gay, however you want to put it, than men, all across the board, across all races. And then Black women in particular are the most queer. They identify the most with bisexual. This is for Gen Z. So that I could see if I can find it and send it to you. I think it was just like 1 or 2 reports. So I don't want to say that is like the gospel, but it just was speaking to a trend that they were seeing. And again, it was showing that women tend to be more gay, which to me was interesting when you hear this whole, what Courtney said, how Black women have always said like, oh, these men are gay, these men are gay, these men are gay. And we're looking at the data and it's like, actually, you're the one that's
it's the women that are really gay. But even in that
these men don't identify as gay, but they're gay.
What makes you come to this conclusion? I'm curious.
I'm a barber.
Okay.
I'm the only one in the shop. I have it to myself. And maybe it is just Dallas, but it's not. But
I used to live in Atlanta.
These dudes do not look at the majority of these men are gay. I'm telling you.
Do they come on to you? Are you saying that they try to come on to you?
Yes. I have had screenshots for about 3 years. I have heard some of the most wild shit in my life. It's not even surprising. So
you think at least in Dallas, you would say the majority of these men are gay?
Yes.
Well, see, I used to live in Atlanta.
Not so much. And when I go to Austen, no, but in Dallas, yeah.
It could be the culture there, yeah, because Dallas is a lot more liberal. I think isn't that one of the most liberal areas in Texas, or am I wrong?
Dallas, Austin. Well, not you, Austin, but Austin, Texas is more. Austin, Texas is very liberal. It's kind of like Nashville.
Yeah, and there's more in here though.
Well, I used to live in Atlanta. And I know that a lot of men wouldn't, just because they had sex with a man, they didn't deem themselves as being.
Yeah, see, that's a thing around.
That's what it is. Yeah. So just because I have sex with you, I want to be with a woman, but sometimes I might have sex with a man, but I'm not gay. I identify as straight. Yeah, I've heard that before.
No, if you can get hard.
Isn't that bi-curious at best?
Well, they're not curious anymore if they have sex with men. Pretty solid, but they still have wives.
If
what are we talking about?
If you can get hard for a man, you are gay.
Where did this conversation?
I have no idea how we would. I just can't get over. As a man, you've had sex with another man, but you're not gay. Now,
yeah,
because I'm like at best that means you were bisexual, but. Like to your point, if you're sexually attracted to someone of the same sex, then I would think that you're at least on the spectrum. But look, I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm not an expert in the sexual orientations. I'm not, but I'm like, isn't that like common sense?
Well, I think the thing is just I can be sexually attracted to someone, but I can, kind of section that off about who do I want and who I give my heart to, just like a man cheats. So a man can cheat, doesn't mean he wants to be with you, but he's just doing it because the opportunity. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just thinking that
this is not my wheelhouse.
When men say that, maybe that's what they mean. No. They don't mean that.
Yeah, this is not my wheelhouse. I would just say I'm a woman that likes men, and that's kind of been it. So apart from that, I don't know how the variation orientations work. But that's just, I had to ask because Austen, that's something that I've heard from women for decades.
Right. So now that you're saying it, so the majority of men are gay.
And the ones I've seen him in Dallas.
Maybe I worded that wrong. Not the whole country. That was like a sarcastic statement. I'm just saying there's a large number.
So you would argue that there might be more men who are actually gay, but they won't identify as it, so then it goes unpulled or it goes whatever. Because I mentioned you a study that was done. No, I don't. I'd have to go back to the methodology on how they concluded that someone was bisexual or gay, but it was women. But you're saying if there's men who are gay but they don't identify as it, then they could just come off as like it not be counted.
I mean, look at it. The Pope is always fooling around with little boys and stuff. It's a lot of dudes that just won't identify as that. I mean, it's a thing.
Well, little boys, man, that's pedophilia. That's something else.
No, that's still gay. It's still boys.
It's a gay pedophile. What
No,
is
that happens. That happens definitely. We went way on a tangent, but real quick, I will acknowledge some of these super chats and then keep it pushing. Okay, so it says CS5, it says Courtney Michelle doesn't represent the majority of Black women and how they think. Most are happy we're bouncing overseas. Shout out to you, CS, with the 5. I see Sunny with the 5. It says protect Deion Sanders at all costs. Support HBC.
That's Jackson State. That's Jackson State. Eddie George is at my school. Let's not HBCU, Tennessee State University. Thank you, Eddie George.
Shout out to you, Michael Richardson. It says, hey, Courtney, I have been to over 30 countries in the military and met all types of women. I love my American Black woman, all flavors. Marry one with 2 kids who are grown now.
And see, that I'm familiar with Michael. He comes over my channel. So again, like I said, like minds usually gravitate to each other.
Definitely like mine, because you got a lot of men follow me. It's like we ain't messing with no single mamas. We're not. Now, I don't know if there's like more grace for women who have been widowed. I wonder about that. I'm not a man, so I don't know. But I'm like, if a woman has been widowed, like, does she have a little bit more grace in the dating market, or are men still just like, I don't care, I'm going abroad? Because it's like being widowed to me is a different than a woman who kind of just slept around and made mistakes. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We might have to do another stream on that.
Right. Shout out to Stuart with the 5 on the super chat. And then Afro, is that X-Row 0? I hope I didn't butcher that. Says, and now women are noticing because the white collar bros are leaving. The blue collar brothers been leaving, but because Black women are very classist, they didn't notice. Women are. You guys think Black women or just women are classist in general?
Black women are classist? Yes.
I think so.
Women are hypergamous.
Yeah, that's the majority. Yes.
Majority of women are. Majority of women want protection to us usually looks like it's financial. And so women are going to be attracted to a man that makes more money. The title of a man is attractive to a woman. So that's every culture of woman.
Yeah, I agree. Because to your point, there's blue collar workers out there who make well over 6 figures, but being a truck driver for some is not as maybe.
Yeah, it's the title. And then there's but then there's surgeons that make $300K a year, but then are in debt over $500K.
And you have people, with trades who have a nice no debt, low debt, making good money, stable, but it's like it's more considered blue collar. So I do agree with that. I said Afro again with the 5. It says class is the biggest barrier between Black men and women. There are many Black men like Austen who are white collar, who are passport traveling. This is an interesting topic. Stay tuned. I do have a classism discussion coming up in the near future that I think will touch upon this. So good stuff. Malarkey, what's going on, Malarkey?
Hey, that's my darling.
It says, come on, folks, like, share, and subscribe to your fave content creators, Shay, Sade, and Courtney Michelle. They put in the work. Let's show appreciation, love from the UK. Shout out to Malarkey. Because that prom pick. Okay, here's the one with the prom pick. They said that was athletes going with cheerleaders. That is like standard operating procedure.
Right. So again, like I said, do you see how Black people are so easily manipulated? We're so easily manipulated, and that's how propaganda gets us every freaking time. One picture, now the Black teenage boys don't want no Black. Like, calm down. You don't know the context of a picture. Calm down. Lord, one picture, y'all just acting up. It's a picture. Jesus.
So I see Celine with the $4.99. It says, I'm 22, back in high school. The Black guys who tried to talk to Black girls were written off and ignored. Went to me. It seemed like they were going places. I mean, all I can say is bingo. That's a whole separate conversation. Women need to be taught how to choose right. And I think they have to be encouraged. What are the good qualities to look for? I truly, truly believe that there is an issue of Black women being encouraged to choose the wrong kind of guys. Now, if this goes back to media programming, if this goes back to seeing bad results coming up, even in our culture, it's like, you know, the influence that our girlfriends have on us, or our friends or have on us, that it's like being with a dude that looks a certain way or portrays a certain way when you're young, like it may make you feel more accepted versus if you're with a guy that seems kind of lame, you know, and this is the kind of toxic, unfortunately, I think, behavior that can be promoted among women. And then, you know, you get to a certain age group, then it's like, where's all the good men? And it's all men's fault. And there's no willingness to talk about how we didn't know how to choose right. And the guys who were good and going somewhere, you overlooked because he was maybe quiet. He didn't have a lot of swag. Maybe he wasn't the tallest. Maybe he didn't have a six pack. Maybe he was a little bit dorky or kind of stuttered, but he had the good qualities, but you weren't interested. And that's real. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Our culture is Black culture is criminal culture.
Unfortunately, that's what's promoted. That's definitely what's promoted.
Yeah.
And I'm not for it, because obviously there's plenty of Black people out there who are not criminals. But when this is going back to what I said about PR, like the PR for Black women in particular is horrible. Like we have a PR image crisis, which is why I love what you're trying to do, Courtney Michelle, trying to reclaim the image. But we got a whole lot of work.
Reclaiming the standard.
We got a whole lot of work to do. I'm so tired of seeing Black women twerk. It's like everybody knows we have rhythm. Nobody needs to see that ever again. Like,
you know what I'm tired of?
Huh?
You know what I'm tired of? And this is, again, that show that we have a problem, because when, you know, the people do appropriate to our culture, they love it. But when they appropriate,
entertainers,
when they try to act like us, it ain't the Claire Huxtables that you see.
No,
it's
never.
all the ratchet. The girl that went viral, that period, that girl.
I don't remember that one.
You ain't seen the white girl that with the lashes, and she did the period, You ain't seen that?
I don't think I saw that.
Oh my! It
this
went
was
viral.
A Bad Baby, or what's her name? Not that one.
Or even her. It's the women that want to be or try to act Black, act like that.
The toxic. They act like the toxic. The toxic.
Even the white man would be the Tom Cruise, his son, and why? So this is the image that we have, and this is what we've created by ourselves. And again, I don't want to fit that narrative, and I want to have an army of women around me that don't fit that narrative. Like I said, I'm a Dorothy Dandridge fan to the fullest. I love Janet Jackson, and it's just because of how she carried herself. She was sexy, but still had this kind of a damsel in distress sexiness that I think that women, it works for us. That's our thing.
Well, if that's really who you are, this whole soft girl on Monday, then I'm gonna be a boss babe on Tuesday, and you switching it up on, that's not gonna work. Like, guys aren't gonna be fooled.
Well, that's why I said there's no hope. Because instead of them implementing a permanent soft girl, they say they're gonna do an era, and that's it.
Yeah, I know the era in this season.
You said I'll be soft for a little bit, and that's why it's like, yeah.
But you know what? Let me say this. Because
I didn't think of that one. That's true.
Let me say this too, because we can clown it, but I think once you start something, and even if it's just trying it out or it's an era, a lot of things stick. It becomes habit forming, and a lot of things change when you change a behavior, and you actually see that you get more flies with honey than vinegar. So I'm not just going to say, I just think it's absolutely trash. I think that if we just finally can see images of women being soft, then it might have an effect. If we can see someone trying it to see, and they see that they get a better response and better relationships out of it, then that within itself is still a change that I'm willing to take, and I think that I'm willing to see. So I'm not just going to say F that, because you don't know what a movement could affect somebody else. Are they seeing it, and then the ramifications of it is actually positive? And if that positive is reinforced and it changes someone, then I'm all for it. So I'll say that.
What you got, Austen?
I think even though I said that I'm not trying to help too much, I think maybe, the passport community. You know, it helps because they can see we're doing interviews and they might be able to see the. I just don't know. There's no solution for that. I can't think of nothing to help y'all. I mean, y'all are doing a good job. But,
well, here's the thing. Asking, I think it's inappropriate, honestly. I don't think it's men's responsibility to teach women how to be women. Like, even when we think of Kevin Samuels, like Kevin Samuels, we all, were impacted by him. And loved his show. I didn't agree with everything, but I think I appreciate what he was trying to do. The very fact that there were women coming in and asking him, a man, what they needed to do already showed that the problem was so deep. Because it's like, if the first person to give you truth about yourself or any submissive truth about yourself is a random person on YouTube you'll probably never meet, like, what is that showing about what's going on in your life? So, yeah, I don't think we should be turning to men about how to be feminine women. I don't think that's necessarily your place. Not to say you can't give feedback, you can't say, hey, this is what we want. Like, we do want to hear what men think, their desires. Incredibly important to hear men. But I'm saying, as far as the responsibility to raise up women, is supposed to be women. It's supposed to be, first their moms, their aunts, people in their family, and then the larger community. So you saying, I don't know what to say, like, I'm not mad at it, because it's like, that's me personally, I don't think that's like your role to begin with.
No, I'll say this, because I think that your husband can also mold you into the woman he wants you to be. And I think, again, letting your man lead is also him molding you a little bit too. That's why a lot of men want a woman that's kind of trainable. Like, teach me how to be a better wife for you. Teach me how to be, a better lover for you, how to be a better cook for you. So I think men can actually teach women a lot.
Yes, no, I'm not saying that they can't teach a lot, but I'm saying, as far as the
basicness of being a woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that I don't think that should rest on the shoulders of men. That's what I mean. Like, I don't believe women can teach men how to be men.
Oh, absolutely no.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that,
but you know what, Austen, I think that you are doing the work, because my good friend Alan always said that we don't know how powerful, again, optics are, and how people take a picture and run with it and come up with a whole complete narrative of it. The optics of Black women and Black men being able to have a conversation with different ideas, but being mature enough to have it and not degrade or berate one another. I think that optics is great too. So I think that you are doing the work, Austen.
That's what I was saying.
So the optics, so it does. So you don't know that you are. Maybe you do, but I think this is good.
Look at you with that optimism. I love it.
I am.
I was about to say this, and then DeSantos typed it. He says they can teach a lot to a woman that is open to be taught. And masculinity doesn't go anywhere with a closed off woman.
That's true. I had, I think it was Family Values. Shout out to Family Values. She came in. I interviewed her maybe like 2 months ago or something. And she talked about, early on in her relationship, how her husband did kind of help mold her, which anytime you are in a relationship or a marriage, like, there's an aspect of growing and learning and essentially molding one another that happens, like, because you're learning each other's ways. So, but she talked about how her husband really helped school her to a certain extent and was very instrumental in helping her evolve as a wife, as an eventual mother. So, yeah, so I totally agree. But that does require openness. That does require a willingness to be different and to evolve. And, there's that one, that one passage in the Bible where it talks about, the two becoming one, right? Yeah. And it's like old things passing away, all things becoming new. And like this, essentially this concept of, if you're a woman and you're coming into a relationship, or you two people coming into a relationship and you are trying to be the exact same way as you were married, as you were single, like, that's not going to fly. Like, there has to be a willingness to evolve and change and grow and be humble and say, I did this wrong, and try something new. Like, without that, then nobody can work with you.
Well, y'all don't do wife duties at girlfriend status. That's what y'all say.
You say do wife duties at girlfriend status?
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing that.
Now, what do you mean when you say that?
Well, because you said you can't go into a marriage acting the same way as you were when you were single.
No, you can't. Like you can't. Like for example, like I will see, women who were like, okay, they want to post thirst traps in twerk online, and which technically, I mean, if you're doing that, I don't know if you should be married to begin with, but just for an example's sake, you're doing thirst traps, you're twerking online, you're going to the club, you go to the club every weekend, and then you get married and you want to do the same thing, and you're like, oh well, it's my body, it's my time.
Mhm.
So, and I was like this before I met you. I should be able to do it after. That's like no deal. Now, personally, a woman who's doing that, I don't think they should be getting married to begin with. If I'm being honest, but I'm just saying that's the example of like you carry in certain mindsets and think that you're supposed to stay the exact same way, have the exact same agency, have the exact same freedom, and you just can't. Or at least for me in marriage, it's like it don't work like that. People that I look up to who've been married for years are just like, yeah, that's not how it works. So that's what
women have a lot of freedom nowadays, so nobody's gonna check them.
Well, it depends. I mean, women can be checked if they want to. If they don't want to be checked, then they won't. Then they'll experience the consequences of not being teachable, and that's not usually good. So people can't check them. Life will. That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
People can't check you. Life will. Even if you don't admit it. Even if you aren't willing to admit that life checked you. This, in my humble opinion, is why you kind of have some of those trauma bonding channels, right? Where you listen to women and they're hidden behind avatars and all they talk about is how horrible men are.
Mhm.
And it's like, but how about your life, women? Like
Mhm.
you're saying women should build or black men should build a community. Okay, well, where's your family? Because that's the first step in a community is a family. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So where's your husband? Where's your boyfriend? Where's your man?
Yeah.
It's the man's responsibility. You know what I mean? So shout out to you, 4J with $4.99. I love all y'all, Shay and Courtney. They take a lot of arrows. However, men have expressed their grievances for years and women don't care. Austen, keep it up, bro. Like I said,
thank you.
Say go for the best. Go for the best option. I just hope to be a part of the woman that can help create some good options in the long term. I'm not saying it's going to be today, and I understand that there may be a shortage. I said the purpose of this live stream shows it's that bad. Shout out to Flight 007 499. Appreciate you. And I think there's another one I want to be mindful to get. Okay, shout out to Barry Hamilton with the 179. It says Shay and Courtney, 2 rare jewels. Thank you. Appreciate the love and the support. Y'all coming through with the support and the questions and some of the feedback in these comments that got Austen having to turn off his comment section. Y'all, I don't know if I read this one. It says, no, class is only a big deal with American women. My wife is from Africa, got a degree. I don't, and it doesn't mean a lick to her. She wanted a husband. That's awesome. That is awesome.
I don't, and that might be his situation, but there's majority of women are hypergamous. I mean, to escape around that is just foolish.
Yeah.
I mean, even when people are married into families, they marry into families when for wealth reason to continue on. I mean, look, come on now. So I don't. That's just
the person who actually one of the couples that counseled me and my husband. She's a major breadwinner in the family. They've been married for I think almost 40 years. He's a pastor. He's technically like a pastor's wife, but she's like corporate. She's a major breadwinner, and but they have a very beautiful relationship. She's very submissive, and she has directly associated her success in the marketplace to her husband's wisdom, his spiritual guidance. So it can happen, but I don't know. She's a special woman. I don't know many women who would be willing to bring home the majority of the funds and submit it to their husband and say, I'm successful because of you, and not use it, to lord
against him. And yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you realized that.
What'd you say?
I'm glad you realized that. The majority of women do not think like that.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know that I think she's more of a rarity, but they have a beautiful marriage. Dane C, it says men are biological designed to spread their seed for the act of reproducing. So I doubt they are a large population of gay men relative to gay women. Shout out to you, Dane C, with the 5. And then this one I see west of Westeros 999. It says the narrative of there being 2 million more Black women than Black men as a point needs to stop. There are 5 million more white women than white men, so the numbers will never work out for women, especially divesters. Shout out to you for the 999. He makes a good point where a lot of these stats that are made to try to implicate men in whatever issue usually are taken out of context, and when you compare them to other ethnic groups, it's like, well, this is actually common. So if this is affecting everybody the same way, then you can't say it's unique to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, let me see. So guys, this has been a really good conversation. I know we are a lot longer.
I'm glad you popped up.
I know, this is fun.
Yeah, come on. I do that. This pop up. What's up? I'm here. What's up? Y'all talking about me?
I'm popping up now. I pop up on a regular basis.
Nah, this was good. I mean,
that with the smoke.
I had a lot of energy when I started.
Oh, I see. Okay, I don't know. No, you can or you cannot speak to this if you want, Austen. But I see with the J John 4040. I think he is anti housework bros. Let me just prepare for that. But it says, so tell them about how you admitted on the business you buy fuel fors. You can speak to that if you want, or you don't have to. But
I can speak on it. I mean, it's on the internet. I'm saying that shit like it's a secret. I put it on the internet 4 or 5 times. I said, you asked me that. I tell you how much.
There you go. It's out there.
I don't know why people do that. They like, oh, he exposed himself. Yeah, on the fucking internet. I know everybody can see that. You think I care?
Oh God.
This is all coming from 2 people that don't have profile pictures. Him or that other guy he's talking about.
I'm not sure what other guy. Like I said, not everyone's going to agree on this, and that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, to those who've been able to find beautiful relationships within the States, that's great. And I'm like, that's amazing. It's certainly more convenient. But for those who want to travel abroad or feel they need to travel abroad, it's not anybody else's business to kind of keep you back. Like, ultimately, a man has a right to spend his money however he wants. What you gonna do about it?
It was not like I have to do that. I just wanted to do that.
Yeah. Right. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, I think traveling is great. So you do learn a lot. Expand.
When you're talking about traveling, you don't see anything about someone paying for prostitutes.
Oh, I'm not. Me personally, I'm not. I don't rock with that. But I'm also not.
I think in the United States, it makes more sense to pay for prostitutes here.
I'm not going.
I'm not going to. It's illegal. But I'm just saying, I think it makes more sense to do that here because there's so many games. You might as well just pay for it.
So here's the thing with my issue with the paying for sex. So, I mean, you can and go to countries that's legal. But paying for sex doesn't resolve the issue of loneliness and people needing companionship. A rendezvous, a night with a hoe. After you're done, that doesn't resolve the fact of us still needing each other for a relationship, for building generational wealth, for family. That doesn't absolve that basic need that every human being has. So you paying for it doesn't mean you're not still going to be lonely. You're just not lonely for one night.
Well, I'm not saying that it's doing that. I'm just saying if you have a urge to have sex, there's so many games in the States, you might as well pay for it. You go overseas, there's so few games, you don't need to pay for it.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a comment saying most men don't need companionship, but the numbers prove else. It proves otherwise. Everyone needs companionship. I don't know any man or any woman that's saying, you know what, I want to go through this life alone. I want to be in a house by myself. I want to travel alone. I want to be 70 years old sitting on my porch by myself. There's not a one person that I know wholeheartedly said it would make me happy not to be with someone. So
we can admit that we do need each other. God created us to, I need you. That's why your body craves me, because we're supposed to, I grow things as a woman. I nurture your babies. I cultivate them in me for us to continue on our legacy. We are needed for one another. I'm just not needed to be your cum bucket.
Nobody said that.
No, I'm not. I know you ain't saying it. I'm responding to the chat.
To the chat.
Yeah. I was saying men don't need companionship, and I think that's absolutely false. And I think we keep putting that narrative out there and wondering why a lot of men right now are suffering from depression and loneliness. It's not helpful to the community.
Those dudes are suffering because they can't get sex.
Well, I mean, they can't get sex maybe because they don't have a companion either. Getting sex does not absolve the issue of loneliness.
I'm a man, and I'm gonna tell you this: any man that can sleep with a different woman every night would not care about if he has one permanently.
I disagree. I totally disagree. Speaking from a woman that knows,
you're 23. I wouldn't say any man, because I know men personally in my life who did that, and then they got to the point where they're just like, I'm kind of over it. Like, this is
you will get over it,
right? So then what? And again, you're 23, so you're at your sexual height right now. I get it, but turn 40 and turn 50.
Yep. I mean, yep.
And the multiple women, it gets old, and you want someone there with you to share life with.
Yeah, well, no, I'm telling you, yes, companionship is nice, but if he can get sex when he wants it, he's not gonna blow his brains out because she wouldn't be his girlfriend. No.
Well, again, this goes back to what I was saying before.
Dudes that are blowing their brains out are not getting sex.
I disagree. Majority of men that are committing suicide are actually white, wealthy men that are married and have wives. They are committing suicide because they're losing what they're
just because they're married does not mean they're getting sex. I knew a lady last year, not very old. She was like 50, and her and her husband had not had sex in over 3 years, and she was recruiting young black men to have sex with her instead.
Horrible.
Okay, what I'm saying is that what the stats show is that the majority of men that are committing suicide is because they're usually white, well-to-do, 6 figures and up, and they show a correlation of usually them losing their job or assets. So it's usually a financial loss that these men are losing that are offing themselves. A lot of them is mental illness too.
Do you have sources on that? Can you send it to me? I'd be curious to look into that. I don't think I've really done a deep dive on what is causing men to unalive themselves. Shout out to you, Eugene Steele. I see sex only lasts one night, actually just a few moments. You get the feel good aspect of sex that wears off, but companionship can last a lifetime. Totally agree with that. As I was mentioning earlier, however, it's like you can't convince a man of anything. So if a man is like, I really see the value in marriage, cool. If he's like, to me, it's not that big of a deal as long as I have this or that. I mean, like there's no point in trying to convince a man who doesn't necessarily see the value in companionship that he needs to have companionship. Like, he's gonna have to come to that on his own. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If he decides to get to that point, and some never do. Now, I know men who did that, and they're just like, it was so. Like, one of my pastors, I know, that was him. Like, he was running the streets really, really early on, and then later on, he just was like, whole story. But it just got tired. He just got tired. He did women, they did drugs and alcohol, and he's like, none of this is for me. So some people get to that point and they're like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. And some people never do.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think, did I read this one? It says, so all those white girls in prom photo didn't have white, Asian, or Latin boys ask them out. Please, you see all these girls posted black BF pics, but now it is fake. I think that was in response to the comments about the photo with the little kids, or the high schoolers. And then I see Afro X0. It says hypergamy is real. I don't doubt it. As I said, only Westerners see degrees as a step up. Other places see income as the bar, not the paper on the wall. Yeah, you ain't lying about that. You are not lying about that. Okay, let me see. Okay, so I think I got that, and then I think there was one more. Where'd you go? Wait.
Yeah, it's above it. You got that same clown.
I know what's going on.
See, there's a lot of people in this chat.
Well, yeah, I'm getting it too. Somebody said I'm missing the point and I'm gonna die alone.
Listen,
I mean,
okay.
that's just what the chat.
No, I
do.
want to say that somebody said men are not blowing their brains out because they're not getting sex. Yes, the fuck you would. You cannot convince me that a drought builds your goddamn confidence.
Look, I'm actually reading a stat right now. PRB.org. What is this company?
Now, okay, what's the company now? What are the sources? Because I'm like, I can just Google right now stats, but I like to try to look at the methodology, look at the source, look at the sample size.
That's what I'm looking at too.
Okay, because all that is, and you don't have to do with this very moment, but I was just saying, if you're trying to cause something, let me know. I haven't done a deep dive into what is causing men to unalive themselves.
That's
so
actually a good thing to maybe
look into. Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, Jay John says your passport make it seem like you living like gods overseas, and the women's are cooperative for free, yet you're just paying them. Is this your key? Jay John is not. Or Jay Joe, yeah, he's not feeling the SYSP, and it's all good. You know what I mean? Like he obviously isn't doing that. He obviously is not grabbing his passport. He's like, no, I don't see it. But I do appreciate the support. Jay Joe,
no, you're not paying them. No, that dude's clearly never been anywhere.
I actually am getting invited to a wedding of a friend of mine who went to Thailand and found him a nice wife. So I'm supposed to be going to one in like a month or two. It happens, and he actually had been married before to a woman in America. It didn't work out. And found him a nice, young, pretty woman, 20 years younger than her. I mean, she's in his 40s. He's like in his 60s, but they seem happy. I'm like, works out. I have no judgments there, So,
what? Somebody just made a point. They said that men control access to marriage and women control access to sex. So why would a man be blowing his damn brains out because he can't get a relationship? If that's what he controls in the first, you can a man. Well, I can go marry. I can marry some overweight chick that I'm not really that attracted to because she's desperate too, and I can have sex with her. That. So it's not a man can get somebody if you work on yourself enough.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know what we're debating on that. I mean, can a man get someone? Can a woman get someone if they work on themselves enough? I could agree to that. But I'm not agreeing that. I mean, do you want me to sit in the back chat or I'll just send it to your IG?
I mean, I don't know that you guys are ever going to agree on this point.
I'm talking about suicide because what he's saying is they're not all majority, and this is what it reads: is majority of people first is usually white men and Indian men that off themselves first. It's usually the elderly, which saying there it's usually 65 and above of the majority of people that off themselves, and it has to do with underlying depression, illness, or loss of spouse. So it's not lack thereof as far as they lose their spouse, their loved one, who they're committed to and have built a life with. Then they also found as far as with education wise, it's usually the highest suicide rates have been historically amongst older Americans, but also with people that have higher end jobs such as doctors, dentists, and lawyers. And they say it's because of the stress. So these are the stats of majority of what the profile of what a person that offs themselves looks like.
Please send that to me. I'd like to, like I said, review that source.
Okay.
Because I'd like to look into that. I like to. Well, and honestly, my husband's really good at that kind of stuff too. Because you want to take that stuff in context. But I don't. Not that I disagree. I just want to read into it.
No problem.
Let's see what else we got. Yes. What does it have to do with black woman? It doesn't. We just went on a tangent.
Yeah, we've been going. We're just out here.
So y'all, this has been good. I feel like, Courtney, you have been riding with me for some time now. Girl, we started this conversation like, I'm gonna cut this thing off at 90 minutes. And we are way past 90 minutes now. But I mean,
it's Austen's fault. It's the black man's fault.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
It's the black man's fault. He came over here and started.
You can't end the chat without first blaming black men. It wouldn't be a real conversation until some black man was blamed. So
that's right.
We have that has been done. So I don't know if any of you guys have like any, final remarks or questions or just little monkey wrenches to kind of throw out in there as we are kind of wrapping up this conversation as STAB. I know, Courtney, you laid out your case on why that is important, why you're about it. Austen says it's too late, and it is what it is. Like I said, my position is you go wherever you feel called, right? So if you want to save the community, you want to build, you want to dig your, heels in the ground and make things grow and all that kind of stuff, you're going to go hang out with Courtney on her channel. You're going to build, you're going to have like-minded collaborations. You're going to find other people in America who still believe in Black American love, Black people, all that. If you like, I'm going to go do me wherever that is, and that's probably abroad. You're going to go to Austen's channel. You're going to figure out how to go abroad. What does that look like? What are the dating dynamics? That's, so that's what we got. That's what we got. But,
it's that bad.
It is.
And that's why we're going to fix
bad.
It's that bad, and that's why we're going to fix it before it gets even worse.
Oh, you need to start at the government level.
Well, hey.
No, you actually might. I mean, that actually.
No rock.
You missed that part. You missed the part where I asked her about Black patriarchy, because a part of the Black patriarchy, there would need to be some institutional changes. But she said she was in agreement of a Black patriarchy. So I don't know if you were there at that point, but yes, it probably would need to be at the government level. It would need to be on every level of society.
Especially the liberals.
Church institutions would need to be addressed. The economy, socially, like there would need to be a total, in my opinion, if there was to be a drastic change over the next generation or two, then the measures that have been done would have to be undone, along with other things, in order for you to see that dramatically. So I'm here for the I don't want to say the select few, but for those who feel connected to, whatever message. But it's like, I also understand what's going on, and I try not to see things blindly, if that makes sense. So that's my position. But like I said, y'all got final thoughts, final feedback, monkey wrench, questions, comments, y'all can go. Whoever wants to start.
Well, I appreciate this conversation, so thank you. And I will forever stand on Black love. And love for me is not just a feeling. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't rejoice off wrongdoings. Love stands in the midst of truth. And love is action. And so in order for me to love you, those are the things that I have to show and do. Absolutely. And I think we need to do that amongst each other. So me loving you is standing and being honest and being truthful. And being kind. So that's just some of it. So I'm gonna always stand on that, and I'm gonna always have our backs as a community. And as far as with Black men, I'm gonna always rock with you. So I'm always there by your side, behind you, or however you need me.
Well, I appreciate it. If none of that works out, what movement to go to, and I have a solution. Guaranteed solution.
You said guaranteed.
It's a Chico DeBarge song. It's before your time. It's called No Guarantees.
No, it's guaranteed.
It ain't no guarantee.
Because we're one country. How many men are in the United States?
I don't know offhand.
Well, let's
No,
just split it
that's
in half.
I don't know.
Let's just say it's 175 million men. And there's 6 billion plus other people. They're not all women, but there's more women. I mean, there's more countries than just the United States, so it's guaranteed there's enough women for every man in this country. If they can't find it here.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if you expand your horizons, you're going to have more options to choose from. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, you can't find another woman outside the United States, and you probably are the problem. But
but you would, okay, Austen, you wouldn't say that before men think to go abroad, because I think in general people should do an honest inventory of themselves and make sure that they're not the problem, whether or not they're dating internally or externally. Like, I think that is really important to do that work, no matter where you're at. But you're saying you wouldn't encourage men to do that until they went abroad and first tested their.
No, I never said that.
Okay, or what would you say? Because
I have a video coming out called "Be Comfortable in Your Own Skin First."
Okay.
You shouldn't be insecure. I mean, you should be comfortable in your own skin. That explains pretty much everything. But yeah, you need to self-improve no matter where. It's just the United States, you're supposed to self-improve for like maybe 40 or 50 years.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's how long they want you to self-improve.
Yeah, that's way
somehow it's always the man's fault. I'm tired of hearing this look in the mirror shit. I can only improve myself so much. Yeah. I said she flaked. Well, that's what you attract. I'm not a flake. How do I attract flakes?
You know, I had to have that come to Jesus moment where I remember talking to a friend and I was like, I kept getting these situationships with dudes, and then I had to own the fact that I was putting out that energy. And I was moving in a certain way that kept on getting me in these situationships. So, and I talk about this a lot, like in my dating journey and different things that I did to kind of undermine the results that I wanted and what that meant as far as me looking in the mirror and owning certain ideas, beliefs about myself. We talked about this even before earlier on, Courtney, where it's like, in church, sometimes you'll hear certain things that actually can be quite toxic when it comes to you trying to. So I am all, when I talk to women about this, I'm all for, you need to first be accountable to yourself and your God and your family and make sure that you're cool before you start pointing the fingers at somebody else and saying that they're the problem. Because if you are the common denominator in all your trashy scenarios or all your struggle love situations, then
it's you.
You know what I mean?
I agree. Mm-hmm. I don't think Austen do, because we had this before, where if every woman that you meet is the same or is treating you certain kind of way, then sometimes it could be you. And to negate that and say, no, it's not, it's also a deflection, which could be a part of the problem when you're not even willing to even take a step back and maybe even ponder if it is.
Yeah, well, at some point in self-improvement, you should see a return on the investment that you put in yourself.
Depends on what you think self-improvement is. Sometimes self-improvement is not going to the gym.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, look, I go to the gym and I do all the other self-improvement. And yeah, the return was too low. But it just so happened I switched the entire environment and that return got real high.
Well, when I moved to Atlanta, when I saw Atlanta and all the blackness, I was so excited to move to Atlanta. I thought I had these ideas of what the ATL was. And I lived there for 5 years and realized Atlanta is just like any other city. And I bring me to any other city. But it took me time to realize that the glitz and glamour of what I thought was better over there, I got the same thing and the same, actually more love, when I just took my ass back home to Tennessee, worked on myself and cultivated my community of love, patience, gentleness. And I didn't have to go nowhere where I thought I'd be better in. I brought me there and it still was usually the same thing.
And what result did you get?
Well, it depends on what part of my life.
So I haven't been to one place. No, that is a no. The environment is different. The environment is different. Maybe, hey, my personality is just better there. They appreciate people like me there and not here.
Well, I mean, again, the environment is different from each city to city, and country is different culture. So I understand that. But again, if it's you, but sometimes you don't know. I mean, when I travel and I love a place, it's because I'm traveling and I'm a visitor. But it's completely different sometimes when you live there, you become a citizen, and then you go into, I have to work and I have to do these things, and it's not the fun. So everyone's experience is different.
Okay. Well, I'm about to find out in less than 2 weeks because I have no return ticket back to the United States, and I will let you know in January if it was just all the placebo.
No.
If it was all no, if it was all just the placebo effect.
No, you gotta live
No,
there.
no.
It ain't gonna take no. You gotta stay there more than a month.
I don't have a return ticket. I don't have
Okay.
a return. I've said I'm gonna check in with you by January.
When you leaving?
No, I leave in less than. See, you're not listening. I leave in less than 2 weeks.
You leave in less than 2 weeks. Okay.
I'm gonna check. I don't plan on coming back.
Okay.
I said I'm gonna check in with you, and by January I should be settled in.
Pinky promise. Check in.
I will check in with you by January.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be settled in. And I can guarantee you it's gonna be better. But I want to say a Muslim would not be appreciated as much here as they would be in Arabia. So yes, changing the environment, coming over here trying to be a Muslim and trying to the Muslim culture is not hot girl summer culture.
That's
take your ass to Arabia and you'll get a different result, different environment.
Are you going to Brazil?
I'm starting in Thailand, and then I'm going to Brazil.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be interested to hear your story.
And Thailand will be different too. It'll be better than here. I can guarantee you.
I mean,
it is.
I'm sure you're gonna be checking in with Richie, but Richie
Richie
loves me, and I'm gonna marry. He loves me.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody just said Muslims aren't celebrating America at all. So let's go back to 2001. No, let me not go that extreme. Let me go back to 2002. And a Muslim is having dating problems. Do you think it's the environment? 9/11 just happened last year. But I bet you if they go back to Iraq, it won't be the same story. So yes, again, it can be the environment.
You don't know that.
I don't.
That's not a good enough argument.
I will say this, and I will just put this out because I know you, Courtney. I know you and me rock with the Bible, our faith, and all that kind of different stuff. What do you think of that? That story in the story? I think it was of Abraham when he was looking for a wife for his kid, and they were not filling the women in that environment, and he literally sent his servant to be like, okay, go over here to this area to find me a wife. And then it was the same, I think, for his, I don't know if it was Isaac, but basically the patriarchs, if you look at their story of how they got married, it's like there in 2 instances, they went abroad to find women that were in line with their values. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, technically I could see, it's like, we see that even in the Bible. Now we see people also who are obviously marrying like within close proximity, but I think that's why for me, my position is like, I don't think one is any more necessarily better or worse morally or whatever. It's like, if you find love abroad, cool. If you find it here, cool. It's like, what's going to work best for that person, and I try not to shame anybody. Yeah. Is it Genesis chapter 24? Yeah. I can't think of the chapter, but it's in there. Whatever is going to work for that person is going to be based upon them, but I'm never here to like shame anybody because they decide to go abroad, or because they decide like they want to stay here and work. I think both have valid points and concerns to them, honestly. Just me.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, you know what to do. Abraham used he used his passport.
I don't know if he used a passport, but no, it was when they were looking for. Yeah, it was when they were looking for. And then I think it was. I'm missing up the names now because I'm hungry, and when I'm hungry, my brain be over there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was Rebecca where she was like, "I'm not feeling these women here. Go get me a wife for my son because these females over here, I can't." They had the same complaints to a certain extent. So
Well, look,
this ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new.
But now you're talking about Abraham and his wives. So
it can be the environment.
Are
I agree.
you talking about polygamy now?
No,
we didn't talk about that.
If you drop an omnis person,
because it was in the Bible.
If you drop an omnis person over here in Dallas, they're not gonna do that well. You can't convince me otherwise. But if you take them back to the omnis community, they'll do a lot better. So maybe people like me and all my other incel followers, as people like to call them, maybe we need to take our lame asses to another country, and we'll do better in those environments.
Well, I ain't over here calling you a lame incel.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying people say that. I got a video that's gotten 2,500 comments of insults since Sunday, and it's getting on my nerves.
Oh wow, that sounds lovely. I know the feeling to a certain extent. Well, yeah, like I said, I'll be curious to hear about your experience and you're not coming back to the States. It sounds like you're not coming back except to maybe visit family, but based upon where you're at today, but we'll see.
Yeah, I shouldn't be back. I'm not gonna be back. If I do, it'll be a while.
I'm curious, are you able to do like your, if this is too much, then let me know. But I'm like, I always wonder, like, okay, so when men, because you make your money out here, when men travel abroad, like if you have a trade like cutting hair, are you still able to do that over there, or is you end up doing something else as far as like being able to maintain your lifestyle?
I don't know if the license transfers, but I don't plan to. Yeah, well, I'm not worried about that. I shouldn't be cutting hair.
Okay.
What should you be doing?
Look into that too much.
What should you be doing? You shouldn't be cutting hair, but that's your trade.
I'll be on YouTube, but I mean, if it came down, this is how you know I'm not coming back. Let's say YouTube didn't work. I'm not coming back. I'm going to be cutting hair in Brazil.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
Okay. I wonder what market is about in Brazil. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
This was fun. Like I said, I'll have to follow your third. Check back with you in January, February, see where you landed.
We'll do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be a lot healthier.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I get it. Listen, I know people in my life even who aren't necessarily looking to move abroad for love, but they're maybe looking to move abroad for a different environment, maybe a slower pace, or maybe they want to be in an area where more people look like them. They don't have to deal with American politics or whatever, the better healthcare system. So I support it, if it makes sense for the person.
Yeah.
So anyways, this has been great. I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out a lot longer than I planned or anticipated, way past our, like I said, 90-minute mark, but conversation kept on flowing. You guys, if you haven't already, please be sure to go and check out their channels. Be nice, even if you don't agree, be nice, y'all. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be going over there calling people names, calling them incels, calling them delusional in my name. Don't do that, because this is not what this channel is about. We can have conversations with the people that we agree or disagree with and still be respectful, because that's what it's called being an adult. So if you go over there, be nice, okay? But like I said, like this if you haven't already, share this stream, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought of her, the stab. What does it say? Your community, Black men, Courtney's position, Austen's position. You got to let me know what y'all think. That'll be interesting feedback. So thanks for tuning in, and thank you guys for hanging out. This was really, really, really fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, you guys have a good one.
You as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. And I think there was like 2 or 3 more super chats I want to make sure I get before I wrap this up. But this was fun, you guys. This was a fun conversation. For those of you guys who kind of came on late, no worries. You'll be able to go back and catch the replay. But, I am Courtney Michelle. She came in and laid out her position on why and how and in what way Black women should steal these Black men back. And Austen came on and gave his position and talked about essentially why it's just too late. It's that bad. So you guys get to decide what you think. But I did want to acknowledge your super chats real quick. It says Black woman complained about not finding Black men, but will reject a brother for not being 6 feet tall. That does happen. I won't pretend like it doesn't. Heightism is absolutely a real thing. A shout out to you, James, for the 2 on the super chat. I see was those 6-figure divorce EPAR might be it. I think you're referring to the study that Courtney had referenced. That's what I'm assuming. And then also shout out to you, Dark Power. I saw the 5 come through on the Cash App. Thank you so much. And then I also saw, wait, was another one? Okay, and I think I got Darren. Yeah, I think I got you at the beginning of the show. So thank all of you guys. This is great. This is fun. Again, like this if you haven't already. Likes are totally free. Share this, tag somebody on this, or leave your comment for anyone that you think may find it interesting. This was fun. We'll have to do this again. Also, be sure to stay tuned for other upcoming content and other upcoming conversations I'm going to have with content creators. I have some cool topics coming up, so stay tuned. Also, hit the notification button if you haven't already, so you are notified each time I go live. Y'all know this algorithm sometimes can be crazy, and even if you're subscribed to me, you don't always get notified of everything. So if you want to be notified and know each time I go live, video drops, new content, be sure to hit the notification bar. And thank you for tuning in. This was so much fun. Thank you for hanging out with me. And yeah, guys, we'll talk later, okay? Peace.